Welcome aboard, everybody. So I was just checking the setup. WWV coming in on 25 megahertz. And hello, everybody. Welcome aboard. Let's do this. Nice to have all of you here, as usual. Let's put the camera in a better angle. Here we go. This doesn't show here, but here we go. That'll be okay. Welcome aboard, everybody. Nice to have you here on this Saturday live show. And I'm just searching for a little something here on the frequency range. Okay, here we go. I found what I wanted. Okay. So today we're going to take I don't think we're going to have time to go through all of it. We're going to go through part of the spectrum. And this is a request that I've got from a user, from a viewer, sorry, that is located in France. And he actually wants to learn a little more about the shortwave spectrum and what is in there. So welcome aboard, everyone. Welcome to the Saturday edition of the live show. We are here to have fun and talk radio, and hope that you guys enjoy the show today. Let me just make sure that this is properly open here and properly open here so that I can see what's happening. Just gonna put that here. Yeah, here we go. That's good. And here we go. The chat room. Put the chat room a little bigger so I can see a little more. And here we go. So welcome, everybody. This is the live shortwave radio stream. We talk about radio pretty much. We often concentrate a lot on shortwave radio itself, but not exclusively on shortwave. We actually might be talking about some other frequency ranges from time to time. But most of it, this is the time for talk about radio, whatever it is. Just have fun. My name is Gilles. I'm located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, northeast part of North America, and we're here to have fun, and we're here to tune around the bands, do stuff. I actually set up my Texan H501X on the desk here so that it actually is just behind my glass here, which is not wine, but vodka cranberry. I just ran out of big glass, tall glasses. So this is actually hooked up with the line out to the console. So if I want to have you guys hear a signal, I just turn the volume up on the console, and that's going to work fine for the receive. So this is what we are going to use today in our radio, and hope that you enjoy the show and have fun with us as we, of course, yeah, it does look like a full glass of rosé, but it's not. It's vodka cranberry, but it does look like it, so it could just pass for wine. So cheers, everybody. I'm going to take my first sip. And because I turned on the dishwasher, I thought I still had at least one tall glass, but when I looked, it's like, whoa, no more. They're all in the dishwasher being cleaned. So decided to take a wine glass. So, anyways, my name is Gilles. I'm located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, northeast part of North America. We, of course, are here to have fun with radio. There's a chat room where you can join in if you have a Google account. It's a great place. People are great. People are fun. People respect each other. It's the best place in the world, I think, and the best place in the world for newbies. You know, no dumb. There are no dumb questions. We are not born with a shortwave radio in our hands and all the knowledge that goes with it. So there's a lot of the stuff that we just don't know as newbies. And there's also, of course, the stuff that we don't know even when we know a lot about stuff and about shortwave and about radio. There are things we miss out and we don't know about. It's a constant learning experience, I think. So, this is a great place to ask your question, even if you've been in a hobby for 50 years or for 50 minutes. This is the place to be. And of course, when all of this is over, there's a Facebook group. And the Facebook group is great because we can follow what people are listening to and see what people are enjoying, the radios they use, the shack they have, whether it's a shack with one little radio in a corner and, on a shelf and near a window, or a big shack with like dozens of radios and transceivers. A radio shack is a radio shack, and we just have fun with what we have, and that's the important part of it. And let's not be intimidated by people that have big gun radios or hundreds of radios, or it doesn't matter. The one you have and you use is what is important. I say it often. I rather have someone with a $20 radio that he uses every day than someone with $1,000 radio that he never uses and it stays on the shelf as a decoration. That's kind of a little sad. And there's a lot of that going on, by the way. So nice to have everybody on board. The weather is kind of changing here. This morning it was +5 Celsius, which is roughly around 40 Fahrenheit. And as we speak right now, it's -3 and going down fast. By the end of the show, it's going to be below -10 probably. They have actually issued a kind of a flash freeze or a quick freeze warning, as the temperatures will drop extremely fast. And of course, all the water that's in the street right now is going to turn to ice. This is going to be fantastic, which means after the live show, I'll have to go and see if the front entrance is not full of ice and, put some sand or something. So, that's Montreal for you. We are in a almost, we can be in almost summer like conditions, and the next day we are in really cold winter. So, anyways, glad to be here as usual. Always fun to be on board. Let me just check the email immediately before I forget, because this is a nasty habit that I have, forgetting about the email, and I don't want that to happen. So we're going to look at the email now. And on the email, we've got the first email is someone named Stan. And he says, first time viewing your live show. I've heard about it several times through AM radio operators. He says that he never had the time or didn't even know at first where and how this was happening. Now he's happy to be here today and hope that it's going to be interesting. And he says that he's happy to be here and hello to everybody. From Stan, and he's in Texas. So nice to have you here, Stan. Hope you enjoyed the show today if you're first time. And don't be shy, ask questions. Always nice to have new people watching all the time. I have this sneeze coming up that's like just at the border, and it's kind of annoying me right now. Oh, God. Sorry, guys. 2 seconds. Okay, that one was a little doozy. Sorry about that. Oh man, I just petted Paul the cat, so that explains the urge of sneezing that I probably am having right now. Even though my allergies have gone pretty much. Sorry, guys. Although my allergies have gone pretty much in the quiet zone. If I pet Paul a little too much, I tend to sneeze a little bit. Okay, anybody else? So we have Elizabeth that is in Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada, saying hello, listening to the show, and enjoying a little glass of wine today. She says it doesn't happen very often that I drink alcohol, but today I thought that I'd take a little glass celebrating World Radio Day that's coming up tomorrow. And she says, Happy World Radio Day to everybody. So cool. Happy World Radio Day and cheers from Montreal. We have Richard Limke that also mentions that it's World Radio Day tomorrow. Nice to have you on board. And he says it's a lot of fun. Spreading the radio event tomorrow. He says 12:45 p.m. February 12th. Don't forget to join me for World Radio Day 2022 tomorrow, Sunday, 1 p.m., 13 UTC. Nothing grand, just little old me chatting about our hobby of radio. And yes, a couple of radio questions for you. Duga 2, Duga 3 confused. Did Flame use wrong fort? Just click below at 1 p.m. So this is for Radio Emma Talk, by the way. The Radio Emma Talk special broadcasts. That's coming up tomorrow through their streaming. Anybody that hasn't listened to Radio Emma Talk, they're also on via WRMI. A very interesting program all the time. They're celebrating World Radio Day tomorrow. Okay. Let's just check it out here. So, okay. That's all we have here in the email. So it's nice to have everybody on board. And I'm going to keep this close because it has information that I will need for the live show today. So I think we're gonna start at 30 megahertz, and we're just gonna go up here. There we go. So let me just find a page. Nice to have you on board, guys. And here we almost are. Man, when you lose a page. Here we are. Okay. So I'm going to start here up here. So, okay, I'm going to use a little bit of the reference from the Gail Van Horn shortwave guide to also talk about the spectrum, as we're going to start from the top 30 megahertz and go down. Also, I'm going to explain a few things because our friend in France also wants us to, his name is Fabrice, and wants us to know, wants me to explain a little bit the range, because he's kind of lost. Because he saw actually one of my videos where I mentioned that 518 kilohertz Navtex is medium wave, and he thought that, well, below the Hingham band isn't that long wave. And there are rules to that. And actually, I got a few people mentioning that to me. So anyways, we're going to go through that today, and hope that you enjoy the show. And let's start. Bobby Burgess, WA5107 SWL in Morgan City, Louisiana. Nice to have you here. Matt, MDK2 in Denver, Colorado, says 11 meters. Been amazing the past few days. John Hummel Newell, V5 JHN. Nice to have you here. Rufus Newt from the Laurentian Valley, Ontario. Nice to have you on board. And John says it's minus 20 where he is. Dwayne, nice to have you on board from Northeast Tennessee. EA3IEK, EA49982RE, David in Barcelona. Nice to have you here as usual, my friend. Always cool to have everyone here. Robert Cross, nice to have you here. Charlie McKee, VE2XCC, just west of Quebec City. Nice to have you on board. Winter snows in the backyard now at 4 foot total. Youch. Rufus News says +3 at 8 a.m. local, now -14 with wind chill -25. Youch. 10 days without with no furnace. Yeah, that's cold. So what else we have? What else we gonna have? So Robert Cross, we have rain and strong winds here last night. Scott Creston, nice to have you here from Massachusetts. Mad Max 2069, nice to have you here from Ohio. Rufus says we have several eaters going on the small wood stove. Yeah, keep yourself warm, especially with the cold weather. It's not going to last long, just a few days, but it's going to be cold. Nick Sharp, nice to have you here from the UK. Richard, nice to have you on board. Richard Busby from Chicago Western Suburbs. Cold day. MDK2 says we got a fair amount of snow yesterday, and low temperature was about -14 Celsius, 6 Fahrenheit. So now it's 5.2 Celsius. Pretty cool. MP, nice to have you here. PLF Radio, bonjour. J'espère que ça va bien depuis Lyon en France. Toujours un plaisir de t'avoir parmi nous. VA3JPX, nice to have you on board from Ontario. Joe Tyson, nice to have you here from Apex, North Carolina, KM4WRQ. M Stacks from Berkeley, California. Bob Cantor says happy Saturday from sunny, warm Long Island. Crittenden Tuttle 4, happy birthday and have a great show, my friend. And hope that you have some kind of birthday gift that is maybe radio related. Who knows? DJW883, Southeast Pennsylvania. Nice to have you on board. Rufus is happy that the firewall is still up. Maybe it's going to warm you up at the same time. John Henning can guess something like that. Sorry about the name. Nice to have you on board from Finland. Cool to have people from Nordic countries. Jeff King, nice to have you here from Jacksonville, Florida, in the United States, listening while driving home. Yeah, I hope it's just listening. It would be a bad idea to watch while driving home. Christian Marcus, salut. Nice to have you on board from North Bay, Ontario. Andrew Simpson from England. Nice to have you here. PLF Radio, remember when did several videos about shortwave spectrum with your big icon several years ago? It's great. You redo this now on your show. Jet Crafter, nice to have you on board from southern Maine, 52 degrees. The cold is coming. Don't worry. Jet Crafter, you're going to see tomorrow is going to be cold. Because I'm pretty sure that the cold spell that we're having here is going down into Maine. It's often our problem, you know. We often get northern U.S. states a little mad at Canada because they're like, yeah, they're sending us a cold. Keegan, nice to have you here. XN80Xer from Northwest Arkansas. Nice to have you here. Art, nice to have you on board, my friend. Why does it do that? I'm tired of that. My chat jumps when I go down. It's always a little frustrating. Okay, let's go back where we are here. Go back here, a little higher. So if I can find where I was. So, okay, here we are. So, hey, Art, nice to have you here from New Jersey, K2ADC. Always a pleasure. We have Mickey Dalmage. Nice to have you on board from Sherwood Park, Alberta, Canada. Kemexi 1976 from West Michigan. William Harrison. It's a really good outdoor antenna to pick up all shortwave bands. If you don't have a lot of noise, the long wire is still the best that you can have. If you have noise level that's quite high, then maybe a loop like an MLA30 that a lot of us have is something that might help a lot in our noisy environment. Chuck King, nice to have you on board. The model, my headphones, they're Audio Technica. I don't know which model it is. It's the ATH AVC 300 or 200. Sorry. So ATH AVC 200. So, and I should actually wear them like this. I was wearing the left on the right and the right on the left, which doesn't matter much on shortwave, but you know. And they have great audio, by the way. Manuel, nice to have you here from Mexico. Pretty cool. VA3 JPX says minus 24 Celsius with the wind in Ottawa right now. So, yeah, tonight's going to drop a lot here, too. David is happy to be here. One more Saturday. Matt says our streets are slushy too. Fortunately, I got my driveway and sidewalk thoroughly shoveled, so leftover moisture. Yeah, here the problem is the entrance to the place, and I'm the guy that has to take care of it. It has a small it kind of has a small um, bump in it, like it's like a reservoir more than a walkway. It's not enough to show when we walk on it, but when the snow melts, and the fact that on each side of the entrance here, the the grass is actually a foot higher than the entrance, so it makes a bump, and the snow is on top of it. All the water from the melting gets into the entrance, and it stays there. So I have to sometimes go and take a look, because when it actually it gets warm enough that the snow is melting real fast, you can easily get almost a foot of water in that place. And what I do is I shovel the water out of it. So I just push the water towards the street, and usually fixes it for a while. But now that the temperature is going to drop real fast, if there are some water that stayed there, it's going to make a nice skating rink, which is not something you want in the entrance. Neil, nice to have you here from the UK. RJDA Dakota, nice to have you here. Says running late to the transmission. Nice to have you on board. Keegan says hello to Stan. Greg, nice to have you on board. And I was listening to Voice of America on 11720, which is one of those very, very strong, very good frequencies here. So nice to have you here, Craig. David McCormick, nice to have you on board. WF7I Homebrew, nice to have you on board from rural Virginia. David Million, nice to have you here from the UK. What else do we have? Charlie says, loves live streaming. Yeah, when it is live, it is live. There's nothing you can do about it. It's just there. Jeff Williams, nice to have you on board from Cornwall in the UK. Kevin, nice to have you here. 70 degrees from and sunny here in Virginia, but a little snow tomorrow. Yeah, that's winter. Paul the Cat was here not even 2 seconds before the show started. And actually, I thought he would stay and maybe come on the chair, but he actually left before the stream started, just like a minute before. Everybody saying hello to Elizabeth. Dwight, nice to have you here from Coastal Virginia, WA4532SWL. We have M1MBZ, nice to have you here from the UK. Maker You Mine, nice to have you on board from Michigan, KE8SDS. Ajay Dakota says one is always fun going on a Saturday afternoon. Yeah, absolutely. N6RLS, nice to have you on board. Says Radio Garden is the best thing for World Radio Day. Yeah, if you want to listen to some streaming of stuff on the web, absolutely. Why not listen to radio stations? MDK2 is going to make a prime rib roast tomorrow. Who wants some? Perfect. I'll come over, bring the vodka, the wine, whatever. Let's have a party. Richard, nice to have you on board from Albany, New York. Radio Havana, Cuba. Very good signal last night. Valts, nice to have you on board from Latvia. Um, what else do we have? We have John Beckham. Nice to have you here from Northeast Florida. Kevin, VE1 TV. Nice to have you on board from Nova Scotia, Canada. Our friend in Finland here says -3 Celsius, a lot of snow, but anyways, nice winter weather and some northern lights last days. Yeah, there's been a lot of that going on. We've been like of in a roller coaster. We've been from like almost every day. We've been moving through quiet conditions, minor geomagnetic storming, back to quiet conditions. It's like really a roller coaster of solar conditions happening this week. What else do we have? Dave, nice to have you on board. It says football on 12030. That's voice of the Radio Exterior de España. Tom the Xer, WPE2QED in Hudson Valley, New York. Nice to have you here. Richard says QSL show on Wednesday was great. Just received my first QSL card and stamp from Radio Havana, Cuba. First one in 50 years. Cool. Never too late to start. Never too late to start. We have René Charbonnier from Radio Classic Sunday. Nice to have you here from the Netherlands. Bod123. Nice to have you on board from Reykjavik, Iceland. Clear skies. However, aurora forecast not favorable. What else do you have here? Kevin, VU1 TV says build a QRP Pixie kit. Rockbound 7023. Cool. Always fun, building something yourself and then using it is always cool. Kevin, nice to have you on board from New Jersey. He says in WS2H. Says WINB coming in on 9265. Been a while since I received them, even though they are relatively close to my QTH. Yeah, it's probably for you. It's the same as for me with WBCQ in Monticello, Maine. The problem with WBCQ is that it ain't that far away in terms of a shortwave station. So a lot of their frequencies are just skipping over. 7490 is a tough one here. Really depends on the conditions. The lower ones they've been testing are good though. 4790 they've been testing at night. Not bad. That one's not bad. Chuck Davis, nice to have you on board from the Twin Cities, and he loves radios. Well, you're at the right place, I think. David, nice to have you on board, and no political comments of any kind because it's going to be out, and I'm dead serious. PLF Radio, watch your video about the Voice of Greece leaving shortwave at the end of March 2022. This is sad. I hear them well on 9420. So, yeah, it's not totally clear because when we look at the Greek website that explains this, they focus a lot on the medium wave, but at the same time, they say that they want to dismantle the Avlis, what was the Avlida transmitter site, and which contains Voice of Greece shortwave. So that's why on Wednesday, and actually we talked about it a lot, is please let them know that you don't want to lose. It can maybe change something. Mad Max loves his Mauno Studio headphones. They have dual jacks. You can daisy chain or have two inputs. And so he says, I have my phone and ATS-25 hooked to mine. That's cool. Absolutely. Joe Spring, nice to have you on board from Milton, Florida. And Robert Cross was listening to Radio Caroline in the morning on medium wave. So this is cool. Anything else? So let's check it out here. I'm almost at the bottom of the chat. Chris66, nice to have you on board from Kentucky. Zen Pharaohs following along on a balmy 55 Fahrenheit, 13 Celsius weather, listening to the Voice of Greece, 9420. Excellent music. And sent the email. Cool. I sent mine after the show on Wednesday evening. Jim, nice to have you here from Rhode Island. 62 degrees over there. Wow. And yeah, I'm not surprised because that cold weather that we're going to have is going to be pushed through all to up to New York for sure. David, nice to have you here from Kansas. We have Brad, nice to have you on board. Frank, 35WR035. Nice to have you on board from Austria. Pretty cool. J Projects, nice to have you here. Al, nice to have you on board from your warm Massachusetts. So Greg says on my Zenith 25-meter band, Voice of America. Rob in Phoenix, Arizona. Nice to have you on board, my friend. Pretty cool to have everybody, the familiar names. San Farrell says on the way out, 9675, very big Radio Saudi International. Yeah, they have a pretty decent signal. Too bad they don't have other language programs. Somebody asked me the other day about the QSL from them. They are known to be pretty much ignoring anybody reporting for a QSL card. They're kind of totally ignoring everybody. They're kind of not interested. RJ Dakota, 29 degrees, way too cold to listen in a shortwave shed. You're going to have to do something with that shortwave shed. If you can't, if you can't listen because it's always too cold, you got to do something about it. Pedro Frazzurri is finally broadcasting the full football game. Atletico de Madrid versus Getafe. I don't know how you pronounce it, but I'm not much of a knowledge of. I don't have much knowledge of European football. Tim Mitchell here. The big event this weekend is the American football, which is, of course, tomorrow night is the Super Bowl. So this is a big event, even here in Canada. Tim Mitchell, nice to have you on board. Today's historic topic, the SCR-270 antenna array used on 12 July 1941 at Opana Point, Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, to detect the incoming Japanese aircraft was loaned to a University of Saskatchewan at Saskatoon. Huh. Tom Ribish, nice to have you here from Ohio. And he says, and Tim says that the SCR 270 is now at Electronics Museum in Maryland, USA. Huh, interesting. Interesting. So, hey, everyone. We're down to the chat. Carl Icon, nice to have you on board. Super Bowl channel is busy on Super Bowl weekend. That goes well together. Hi, 61. Nice to have you on board from Colorado. Kevin, Jill, what is your opinion on cheap D-cell batteries? Do you think as long as I don't leave them in too long, they won't damage my radio? It depends what you mean by cheap D-cells. If you buy, one of the things that I absolutely avoid, is buying anything that is not an alkaline battery. And what I mean by that is they still sell those cheap carbon zinc batteries because they're extremely cheap in price, but they actually are extremely bad in general and don't last long. And not just that, they are the worst in having batteries leak. What I do is, because let's face it, sometimes you need D batteries, and unless they're on sale, you know, Energizers and Duracell batteries are kind of the really expensive ones. And for batteries that you'll be, um, throwing away or recycling. In my case here, I'm lucky here at the corner. There's a store where I can bring the batteries for recycling. Um, I buy alkaline. I make sure that the battery that I purchase is alkaline batteries, first of all. And I try to not get into too many weird battery names, but in general, these batteries are not too bad. I have Panasonic. I actually have an example right here. These are the ones here at our dollar store. We have the Panasonic ones, which are the alkaline batteries. So these are the D batteries. These are actually good, pretty good. And I've never had one. I mean, I forgot some of those in one of my radios here. I had D batteries that were kind of halfway done. They weren't still working in the radio, but they weren't full. And I mean, the batteries have been there for like 2 years, 3 years. And when I realized, I was like, oh God, I hope they didn't leak. Didn't leak a bit. Of course, don't leave the batteries in the radio. What I would recommend is if you do buy cheap batteries, try to stay with alkaline batteries because they do last a lot longer. Even the cheap ones last way longer than the carbon zinc ones. And just make sure that you remove them from the radio um, if you don't use it for several days to make sure. Some models actually leak less than others. Like the Panasonics I have here, I've never had a leak on any of them. The ones that I had the most, the worst part is the ones that I asked the biggest problem, have the biggest problem with leaks was the Duracell batteries. I mean, those I don't know. It's just crazy. It's Duracells are the one that leak the most for me. The ones here, Panasonic, no problem. I've got another brand. I think there's TVs branded with that, like Magnasonic or something like that, and they aren't too bad either. Also, you know, of course, when they are on sale, I jump on the big packs of Energizers. But when they're not on sale, I buy those. These here come in at the dollar store. 2D cells come in at I think $3. Is it $3 or $2? Canadian dollars. I think it's $2. So a dollar. It's a dollar a battery basically. So 12 batteries would be $12, where 12 energizers would be $25 here at the local stores. So just don't leave them in the radio too much. I think it's not a problem to buy cheaper batteries. But like I said, stay on alkaline. Never buy other things than alkaline. Don't go on the carbon zinc. Those are actually crazy bad for leakage. And anything that is Chinese or weird branded batteries that have Chinese on them or something, those are really bad for leaking also. So that's pretty much what I would say on batteries from a guy that uses a lot of batteries. Um, Jeff Radio, will I watch the Super Bowl tomorrow? Yeah, probably. Usually it's because here what happened is, and that's what I was telling Sheldon before the pandemic and the rules where we couldn't really be together. That was a family and friend event. We would, people would either come here or we would go to my brother or my nephew and we would watch the Super Bowl in gangs and eat the insane amount of chicken wings and pizza and beer. Now, the last 2 years was kind of complicated because of the pandemic. So it kind of not didn't happen in the last couple of years. Well, it happened. No, it happened. It didn't happen last year, actually. It happened the year before because the Super Bowl was happening in 2020. The Super Bowl happened before all of the pandemic crap happened. Um, so last year it didn't happen. This year, I will probably watch it, but I won't have anybody here. It's going to be a quiet year, but we'll be looking. But I'm out of interest. I'm not a big football fan, but I find it it's like a big party and it's a big entertainment thing, and there's the halftime show with the music and all that I enjoy watching and seeing the performances. So of course I'll be looking at that. WF7I Ombro, hearing some ham stations on 10 meters, CW and data and SSB. Yep. Just before the show started, I actually, if I punch in here, I'm going to punch in the 10-meter frequency. 10-meter frequency, so I can see if there's some activity. Actually, I see some hams on 28 430 ish. I see a little bit of activity on 28 400. So if I go here, I don't know if we. This is the negative side of the H501 on 10 meters. It is a little wobbly, and it's. Let's put some volume. And we're gonna go on. That's 28,377. There's one at 425. Whoops, it stopped. And around 425, that's stronger. So that's 10-meter band for you. On the H501X. So there's definitely some activity on 10 meters. Absolutely. Those we have. Joe Gomez, nice to have you here from San Diego, California. MDK2, pulling for the Rams only because the Broncos traded Von Miller. So we're going to see. We're going to see who's winning. Jay Dakota says, I've had really bad luck with Duracell batteries. If I have to use regular batteries, Rayovac is usually a little better. Yeah, Rayovac. I've purchased some of those Rayovacs over time. They're not bad at all. Not bad at all. Kevin VT1 V1 TV says, been listening to Medium Wave most nights lately. Best DX, I believe, was the station in Atlanta, Georgia. High 61 use rechargeable batteries for my portable shortwave. Yeah, but the problem is on when you need D batteries on big radios, you need D batteries, and D batteries. I don't have a charger for D batteries. D batteries. So the only charger I would have is for C. It's for AA batteries or AAA batteries. So the D batteries and the C batteries. We'll use alkaline. V3GPX says dollar an hour batteries for general purpose, Energizer rechargeable batteries. Brad, I don't know or care who's playing tomorrow. Kevin, dollar store here also sells Panasonic. John Gary and Energizer Industrial is worst lifespan battery ever made. Vaults using non-rechargeable batteries seems very wasteful in general, unless there may be some special appliance where batteries work for years. Yeah, but on some batteries, with big D cells or C cells, most of us don't have. We first of all we don't have a lot of. I have, because I got two big radios recently. Now I probably have 4 or 5 radios that use D cells, but in general. Most radios use C cells, AA cells. Sorry. So one of the things I've been doing from time to time, and I've actually purchased that. You can purchase, and I've had some success using that, and it makes you use rechargeables. If you don't want to buy a charger for C rechargeables and D rechargeables, um, I've purchased. They are um, kind of D size envelopes. They're plastic with like the endings are metal for like a battery. And what you do is you insert a double A in it, and you can actually fit a double A in there and put that in a D compartment. So if your radio needs D size batteries, you put rechargeable double A in it. And so I have a few of those here, which enables me to use double A batteries and radios that use D batteries. And it works well because most radios that use D batteries actually don't consume that much power, so they kind of last long. But Of course, the alkalines last way longer than double A rechargeables because of their size. But it depends on the size of the batteries. But I'm not going to buy. Same here. I'm not going to buy a charger with D-sized rechargeable batteries. That's so expensive that it will even take a while before actually, it's going to cost $70, and it's going to take a long time before I actually spend $70 in alkaline batteries. Honestly, especially on these big radios, um, you have months and months of use of these radios on the D batteries. Um, what else do we have? Carl Icon, Dollar Tree, New York. Everything now 125. Yeah, here our dollar store, Dollarama, is like things are $1, $2, $3, and $4, I believe. So there's different prices depending on what you buy. Landy. Let me just go back here for a second. Lost my spot. Uh, so Landy Kwatirski, nice to have you here from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Watch your video on the PL368 was excellent, along with the silicone case sold me. Keep up the videos. Thank you very much. Frazio here in France. Only alkaline or rechargeable batteries are sold. Max usually get Energizer batteries. If I absolutely have to get, I'll get some no name. But if I can help it, I'll get Energizers. Yeah, and even if my radios use, because I have a big bunch of rechargeables here, because all the double A, all the radios I have, I actually use rechargeables and everything. But I still keep a box of like 32 double A batteries here that are alkaline because rechargeables are great, and today's rechargeables keep their charge quite well. Yet, when you have no power, no possibility to charge a radio, um, I think it's a good idea to have some, alkaline batteries in case you need them, because they can, be stored for years and still be good. X80Xer, I use Duracell and Radio Shack brand rechargeable batteries on double A's. Yeah, because on double A's it's okay, the rechargeable batteries and all the chargers and everything. So that is what I have here. I have at least 4 double A battery chargers here, so I could charge up to probably at least 16 at a time. MDK2, been using Duracell or Energizer for decades because 40 years ago they really were better than other alkalines. It would be interesting to see if that's still the case. I've been thinking of doing kind of a test of building a little circuit um, that powers a device, and with kind of a cycle. You power it for 30 minutes, then power off for 15 minutes, power back for 30 minutes, and so on. And do that in time, how long the battery is going to last. A Panasonic, a Duracell, an Energizer. In everyday use, what I would say is I can't really say I see that much of a difference between this Panasonic alkaline and, say, an Energizer. But there might be a difference. They always advertise that they're the lastest longing batteries of all. So, that'd be definitely probably a cool video to post of, how long each brands last, and see if, some are better than others. And you got to also think that these batteries, some are made for higher current, some are better for low current. Alkaline batteries are in general good for appliances that are that use a little up to like a medium current, but not too much, because these things on very on anything that uses a high current, these things actually waste really fast because their internal resistance gets high really, really quickly. But on anything, these things on, I have an example. I have a clock in the kitchen. The clock in the kitchen uses one C battery like this. It's a C instead of a D like this one. I have a Panasonic in there. That is this one. Funny story is that the logo and the light, what the battery looks like, it was different about 3 years ago. And in the last 3 years, they've had this new design. So when I changed the time on the clock, I noticed that it had the old design, which meant that the battery in there was more than 3 years old. So for an appliance that, like a little clock that doesn't take much current, but I actually was thinking, well, I should change it because 3 years, just to make sure it doesn't leak or anything. E3IEK David in Barcelona uses IKEA ladder rechargeable AAA batteries on several devices, including the PL660. John says, I think Varta brand is something like battery from hell. Yeah. Yeah. Philip Radio says the Super Bowl is broadcasted live in France, but due to jet lag, it is not easy. Yeah, it's late for you guys. It's late for you guys. MDK2 says, but in general, I use rechargeable, only things that are always running, like my weather station, have alkalines as a matter of course. Yeah, it's like my weather station outdoor. My weather station in the back I have three, it uses two or three, I think it's two batteries, two C-size batteries. And they are Panasonic alkaline in them because you don't want to go out and change them every 20 minutes. Al says, have you ever had anyone from Greenland in the chat? I wonder what listening is like up there. No, never. But, if you want to see what Greenland probably gets, I go to the Kiwi SDRs in Iceland, which is, although more on the European side, probably close to what you'll hear. Actually, Greenland has shortwave marine broadcasts. I made a utility column in the Messenger a few months back. And to verify if those frequencies were valid, I actually used an Icelandic Kiwi SDR to monitor the frequencies. And yep, there were some broadcasts, marine broadcasts from Greenland. So there's shortwave from Greenland. It exists in the form of utility stations. But the problem is they're using very low frequencies. So, they're in the 2 and 3 megahertz range, makes it a little more difficult to kind of get something here, especially with the high noise and the fact that marine broadcasts are not very high power. But one of the goals that I have here is to try and get one of those Greenland marine weather broadcasts someday here on my radio here. That'd be kind of really, really cool. Kevin, VE1 TV had an e-skip alert about an hour ago. Maximum usable frequency was 80 megahertz, so close to the that's pretty close to the FM band. Pretty close. Paul Steckler, Todd Experiment, Brothers there, a play-by-play for the Super Bowl. Oh God. Tom A, good evening from Southwest England. Been monitoring UVB 76 and 8131 upper sideband Russian Air Force Barenet this week. Any more? Do you find there's more activity on the Russian Air Force frequencies? I would guess there probably is. I know that on the U.S. side, the Global Command emergency action messages seem to actually happen much more often since the tension is actually rising. Scott Cranston uses rechargeables on everything except his ICF 2010, which requires D cells. Yeah, that's pretty much what we all do, basically. Dimitri, nice to have you on board. Chris, G7 VEO, was listening to China Radio International 7255. Their AM transmission. All the international broadcasters are in AM mode all the time. But usually you can, with a good radio, you can switch to USB or LSB and still have a very good audio. David, yeah, there are some radios that don't like the 1.2 volts versus 1.5 volts. He says, I've really used every brand, Duracell, Energizer, Panasonic, and no leaks with any of them. The best thing to do, I think, is just not to forget to remove them from the radio or any devices when you don't use it for a long time. Patrick Fitzpatrick, nice to have you here. Use IKEA AA rechargeables. The ones I use here all the time are the rechargeables I always use. They have actually changed the look. I have good success with Amazon Basics rechargeables. They are really, really good. Amazon Basics is what I purchase when I need them. Actually, I probably have like 60 of them now. I want to make sure that I have enough, that all the radios that I need, I always have some rechargeables ready to put in there when I use a radio. So, Sicasa, only available in Spain. I've never heard anybody from abroad mention the brand. Nope, never. Miguel Almich, I guess I'm cheering for the Bengals as that is the team I was picked during the last month's CIDX Zoom. Oh yeah, that's true. There's that little contest going on there. So you want to have them win. Oh man, it's funny. John Beckham, do you remember the red-colored carbon zinc Ever-Ready AA batteries that were popular in the 60s? I remember because for a long time, even in the 70s and 80s, they kind of kept the same design. And I still remember the Ever-Ready batteries, especially the 9 volts with the, what was it, a cat? There was a cat going through the number 9. Something like that. What else do we have? Vaults says, oops, I lost it. Let's try to get it back. So what do we have here? So that is okay. That's okay. We'll be back in 2 seconds when I find my spot again. Hate it when I lose that. Vaults. I was reading vaults. I should find it someday. Someday over the rainbow, something's gonna happen. God, lost my spot here. Really good. Okay, here we go. So, okay, I found Mickey Dalmanage. Yeah, the color coding. What else do we have? Valve says, pretty sure a regular charge could charge D cell any much. Would just take longer. No, but they don't fit. You got to fit. Rechargeable batteries for AA and AAA are not made for getting D cells. They're made for getting AA and AAAs in size. It doesn't work. That's the thing. And a lot of smart chargers today probably won't work because they have these circuits that they're going to be kind of lost with a D battery in it. So, yes, Scott, they do make C and D rechargeables. We don't see them very often, but they do exist. But because we don't see them very often, they are extremely expensive compared to other batteries in general. But they absolutely do. Actually, when I was using a when I was a teenager, a young like when I got my first remote control Jeep that my brother had given me, and it required C batteries, and that Jeep was very powerful and went really fast. But if you put alkaline D batteries in there, you'd have maybe you know 2 hours of play, and then the batteries are dead. So it was kind of expensive, and my one of my uncles had C batteries and a charger. And when we were talking, I said, "Oh man, I would like to have a charger with C batteries because C size rechargeables, because it'd be much simpler for my remote control car or Jeep." And he looked at me and said, "Well, I'm not using it. If you want it, I'm going to give it to you and enjoy." And he actually had 8 batteries, so the remote control Jeep took 4 of them. So it was cool because I would recharge both. I'd get about 2 hours also off the rechargeables, but at least they were rechargeable. While you're playing with the other one, you leave the other set of C batteries charging, so you have almost a constant use possibility. So J Products use C's. My older Sangean, but eventually got the 6-volt wall adapter from the company. Um, Jen is asking what kind of receivers everybody use as a daily driver mostly. A lot of it is done with the for me with the SDR Play RSPDX. That's pretty much the main driver for my shortwave stuff. But I use a lot of portables throughout the day, honestly. So, what else do we have? But the problem with Vaults is you don't want to fiddle with that. At the price of alkaline batteries, you buy alkaline batteries, and that's it. Here in North America, we're a lot like that. I know in Europe, people are more oriented into trying to save a little more on the power, on money, on things like that. Here in North America, we have a lot of us have this like just we go to the dollar store, we see the batteries there, like I ain't gonna start going crazy with rechargeables or not with my D batteries. You just buy 5 packs of double of 2D batteries, and you just go home with that, and you just the hell with it. I'll buy new ones when they're gone. And where we often have this mentality that is kind of it probably is wasteful in some way, but you know we don't start fiddling with like, yeah, I'm going to try to fit mine. And like I said, my chargers here are intelligent chargers, and they do kind of measure all sorts of like the internal resistance and all sorts of things like that of the battery. And if the battery isn't of the proper size, what happens is if it takes too much current, if it differs from what a standard battery should be on double A or stuff like that, it's just going to tell me, nope, I ain't charging that. Something's wrong, because they won't recognize the same power input, the same, it's not like the same thing for them. It has its use because it tells you when a battery is dying, but it has also some negative side. I do like dumb chargers. For example, one of the things that I would say that is sad of intelligent chargers or the smart chargers is that when they actually decide that a battery's dead, well, they don't want to charge it. They're just going to say, well, that battery's no good anymore. You got to change. And what I do is I have an old I think it's a Rayovac charger, which is one of those old dumb chargers. You just put the battery and it doesn't monitor anything. It just recharges at a fixed current for 5 hours and it should be fully charged. It's, instead of looking at the battery, it actually just a timer that shuts off the current. So I've noticed that a lot of times when a smart charger starts to tell you, oh, those batteries are kind of going bad, I charge them in the dumb charger because they still work very well, very well. But for some reason, the chemistry probably has changed something. So it made, the charger doesn't want to charge it anymore, which I find kind of a little sad. There should be a override button like, I don't care, charge. But, they're not made like that. So it happens from time to time. And what I do is like, for example, I had um, they were old. What brand? I don't remember what brand, but they were old rechargeable batteries I had here. Um, that man, they were at least 15 years old, and I was using them in the radios, but my smart chargers, none of them wanted to charge them anymore. But I still got, at least a couple of maybe 1 or 2 years more out of them by using the dumb charger that would still charge them. There was a difference because when I would measure the current that you can get out of them, um, yeah, the current was less than any others. And full charge, you could not get as much power. So they obviously were wearing out. The chemistry was going bad. But at least, before sending them to recycle, I still could get some power out of them, at least. It's not always positive to have these smart chargers today. Jeff King went with rechargeable D batteries, but they are expensive. For alkaline, I use Rayovac Fusion for long storage. I have charger that takes all sizes. Yeah, because before I got 4 or 5 radios that now have D batteries, every single radio I had was double A or triple A. So I never, I didn't need a charger for D batteries and stuff like that. And honestly, at the price they are, and the price that I get my batteries at the dollar store, I'm going to continue getting them at the dollar store. I don't see the need and why I should invest in a charger and the expensive D batteries and all of that. And because they are radios that I might not use for a long time, also, even though the batteries today keep their charge for a long time, you end up with what? The surprise of the battery's dead because you didn't use it for a year and you need to recharge them at the time you need the radio. So what you're going to do, you're going to use alkaline batteries. So for me, it's a nonsense to buy rechargeable D batteries. But it depends how much you use the radio. If you use the radio every single day for hours at a time, okay, now maybe it makes sense, but not for the use that I have here, honestly. Um, Mark, IKEA, double A lattice have been good to me. Yeah, a lot of people seem to have been happy with these IKEA batteries. So, because the chargers themselves are not the ones that are expensive. It's the batteries that are expensive. The D batteries are so expensive for what they are because they probably don't sell at that many. So cost more. Because the charger is never the price problem. The chargers are rather cheap in general. Um, Mark, my old lattices were white and said made in Japan, which I like very much. We'll see how they do. Duracell AA seems to leak in my flashlights, small clocks. I've been having a lot of leakage out of Duracell too. There's something I don't like about that. I-61, I try to replace my rechargeable batteries every so often and mark the new ones so I know which ones are new and old. Yeah, the what's nice is that I know that, for example, my rechargeables from Amazon, the Amazon Basics. What's cool is I know that the oldest ones are the ones that are black. The newer ones are the ones that are green. At least this is cool because the two colors give me, a sense of which one is the new ones. But in times of rechargeables of all sorts, what I try to do is I'll sometimes put a little sticker with the the year that the batteries was purchased, especially if I have purchased the same rechargeable brand for 2 or 3 years and they all have the same look. I try not to mix older rechargeables and newer rechargeables. I try to keep like the old ones together, and every time I buy new ones, I try to keep them together to make sure that I don't mix, old and new, because over time rechargeables do degrade, and I mean, the more you charge them, the more you will degrade. And one last thing about rechargeable batteries, keep away from the really quick chargers. If you want your AA or your rechargeable batteries to last long, um, you know, wait, be patient. Use a charger that is like a 5 hours or stuff like that. Because if you use those 1 hour quick chargers, that eats up the battery so much that your batteries are not even going to have half of the lifespan they're supposed to have. They're going to degrade extremely fast because they become too hot. So it's very important to stay away from the really quick chargers, honestly. Um, so, John Beckham wasn't the first rechargeable battery made up of nickel cadmium. Yep, the first ones that came out were nickel cadmium. Today they're nickel metal hydride. So the old NiCads, these they have one advantage. They deliver a punch of power that is much more than the NIMH. So nickel cadmium are still produced for one main reason. If you have a device that requires a lot of amps, those are great for that because they have extremely low resistance, but they are extremely toxic. Nickel metal hydrates, the NIMH, although not zero toxic, they are much more friendly for the environment, if we'll say it, than the nickel cadmium ones. But they have a higher internal resistance, which means they work in, say, a radio. They work in something that requires up to a certain amount of power. But anything that requires a big punch of power, the NIMH is not as good because the internal resistance prevents them from giving as much current as the NiCads. The other thing of the nickel cadmium batteries is that they have that memory effect, which is a problem. NIMH batteries do not. So when you use NIMH batteries, by the way, you can charge them anytime you want. You don't have to wait till they're down to zero. If you use them for like 4 or 5 hours in your radio, um, you can charge the radio. It doesn't matter. They do not have memory effect on them. The nickel cadmium do. The nickel cadmium need to have the deep cycle before you recharge all the time, because if you don't do that, the chemistry goes wrong and they maintain a level where you cannot charge more than a certain level. So that's why they're kind of not used much anymore, anyways. And the NIMH batteries that we have, the nickel metal hydride batteries, they keep their charge for much longer. NiCads, I mean, 2 weeks, and you had no more power in them. You had to recharge even if you didn't use them. Patrick Fitzpatrick, should be a lot of RTTY at the bottom of the 10-meter band. Big RTTY contest going on. Two broke Tim says Duracell batteries leak. Yeah, that's the problem, the thing that I've seen over time. TVDX, bonjour, ça va bien? J'espère que tu vas bien toi aussi. J'espère que tu vas bien toi aussi. Matt says one shouldn't throw away old rechargeables. That's one place where alkalines are better. They're safer for the environment. You need to recycle rechargeables. Yeah, the NiCads particularly bad and very toxic. Very toxic. The cadmium in there is extremely toxic. NIMH is better, but any batteries, anyways, you should take the time to look at where you can actually dispose of them for recycling. Like I said here, I'm lucky at there's a drugstore that is just across the street, not far from here, and they have a big box when you get in the drugstore at the entrance, and you just put your batteries. It says for any type of batteries, just put your batteries in there. This is for recycling. And apparently, they send them to this place where they recycle all of the metals and build new batteries basically out of them. Christian Marcoux replaced a small remote control, and surprise to see that oh quadruple A batteries existed. Yes, absolutely. There's not a lot of stuff using that, but usually when it's very tiny, 4A, yeah, 4A batteries. Absolutely, I've seen that a few times. So, like I said, sometimes what I'll do is I'll use the the plastic holders, and I'll put a double A in it, a double A rechargeable in it, and I think I've got 8 of them here, so I can power one of my radios out of a double A that's in one of those D holders. Um, Dimitri uses double life battery from Battery Plus Store. Jen says many nice devices, lots of traditional good old receivers, mainly use AirSpy HF Plus, SDR Player SP1A, and many classics like the Yaesu FRG 7700, Selena B212, and Grundig ST500 and 1400 ST. Cool. I-61, because the drama in Ukraine, I was wondering if there was any chatter on Shortwave or other bands about it. Mostly, I think most of the activity goes on with all the different military frequencies for the military frequencies of all the things that exist right now, because military communications across Europe probably, and even in the United States, much more activity there. For the rest, we don't have Radio Ukraine is not on WRMI anymore, so it's kind of quiet. VA3JPX last night was chatting on 28700 USB with a couple of locals, and I got a message from someone that was listening to us on an SDR in Maui. Wow, pretty cool. Pretty cool. No, there's no more shortwave station in Greenland. There used to be before, but you do have a medium wave station and a couple of medium wave stations. One in Nuuk, the capital of Greenland, and you have, like I said, a lot of marine broadcasts that come out in the 2 and 3 megahertz range. I believe even in the 4 megahertz range. So. Donald Hosmer, I heard in QSL Radio Greenland, 3999. Yeah, that was a frequency we were using back then, way back then. Way back then. Long time ago. So let's try to go down. So back in 1989. Kevin V1 TV have a G Super Radio 2 that has never had batteries in it. Kamaxi 76 Antelope has always been good, but I might try Amazon Basics. They're as good. Antelope were the first ones. One of the reasons Antelope was great, they were one of the first ones that told you they kept the charge. So for a long time, Antelope was the battery because they were the only ones that kept charge. The other ones were losing charge, and after a month, you had to recharge all the time. But today, they don't have that edge anymore. Amazon Basics or a lot of the rechargeables that are out there today are as good now because they pretty much all keep their charge, and that's why a lot of them, when you look on the pack, if you buy a different brands, it's going to say pre-charges because they're already charged and they keep their charge for a long time. PLF Radio, have you ever tried to use your shortwave portables in the countryside or remote place to see if you can have better reception or, I mean, less noise? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, many times. And even, just going to the park and stuff like that, it's already obvious how much more stuff you listen to and hear on the bands. That's for sure. There's definitely a big difference. And I've listened to shortwave in the north and set up a wire antenna in the trees, and man, it's crazy. I wish there would be that low noise here for sure. Okay, let's try to accelerate a little bit more because I'm kind of a little back in here. And I do want to talk a little bit about the spectrum. TVDXer gets batteries at Costco. The K2 uses my satellite 750 all the time, mostly for local listening. But if I were like Jill, then alkalines would make me more sense. Yeah, that's the thing. It all depends on, are you using it all the time or not? If it's your main radio all the time, absolutely. I now I understand why you'll get some rechargeables and stuff. But for a radio, for me, those radios are used, you know, from time to time for a couple of hours and then will not be used for weeks. It doesn't make sense for me to buy rechargeables for that. So yeah, D batteries. That's when you haven't seen a D battery in a long time and you have radios and stuff that only uses double A's and you get those and you're like, wow, those batteries are so big and heavy. But they do have a lot more current. That's for sure. And rechargeables do not not rechargeables, but alkalines. If you don't use your radios or your devices for a long time, do not leave them in the radio. Mad Reader DXer, nice to have you here. Andy New, nice to have you here. Richard, yes, you can have a QSL card from CHU. You just have to email them. You email them a reception report, and you'll get a QSL card. CHU Canada, like WWV in the US, do QSL. Last time I QSL'd WWV was for a QSL card for the 25 megahertz frequency. So Keegan gets batteries at Radio Shack or Walmart. Jim Gordon recently bought an RF 2200 US version with 120 volt AC input. I'm using 4D cells. They are relatively easy to buy and have good endurance on the battery. But that's also one thing that you might think of is on older radios. Today's radios are very, very low consumption. So the radios I have, like the C Crane, for example, that's for medium wave, the CC Radio 2E, and even the latest Ethon that I've got. These radios don't use much power. You put alkalines in there and they last for months at a time. So it doesn't really cost that much to use alkalines in them. And the So in the use that I have for them, but older portables, the radios that remain in the 70s or 80s that use D batteries, those radios consume a lot more power though. But one of the things they have as an advantage is that a lot of the portables, the big portables of the 80s or 70s, had built-in power supplies though. Randall, nice to have you here from Northeast Illinois. Um, Joe Spring have portables that will recharge batteries when the radio is plugged in. Is it better or worse than a standalone charger? Um, in general, they work well. In general, it works well. It's just that they're very slow kind. So it's like you're gonna wait 18 hours before a battery is recharged, or depending on the capacity of the battery you're using. I personally never charge those in the radio themselves because of the way I will use the radios is, I don't want to wait. If I use my, say, uh, a Grundig or, a St. Gian or whatever, I don't want to wait. Once the battery's depleted, I'm not going to wait for it to charge before I use it again. I just take the batteries out and pop in fresh recharged batteries. So I rather have a external charger in my case to charge the batteries because it makes me want to, I can still continue using the radio. The other set is charging and they'll be ready in X time. I also like external chargers because most of the internal charging in radios, if you're not, if like you plug the radio when you go to sleep and you wake up in the morning, it's not much of a problem. But I like the fact that, for most of my chargers are like 4 or 5 hour chargers, which is much quicker than most internal chargers of the radios themselves. So, Uh, Charlie McKee, V2XCC. Don't talk to me about batteries, especially rechargeables. I was the only fisherman on some lakes with 3 to 12-volt deep cells on board 12-foot folding boat because one failed me once in the middle of a lake. The deep charge, things like deep charging batteries yeah, they can go bad easily if you're not careful in how to charge them. Anton, RC3C, nice to have you here from Moscow, Russia. Nice to have you on board. Dimitri, 6070 kilohertz is low power signal, probably station coming from Cuba. 6070, if it's in English, it could be CFRX out of Toronto, Ontario. And in Europe, 6070 is in that channel 292. So, but here in North America, 6070 is CFRX. Scott Cranston says weak signal on 6955. So we're going to check that out. 6955. Anything here? Yeah, I hear this. Yep. Sounds like radio free, whatever. I wouldn't be surprised radio free, whatever, pirates. Yeah, check something here, guys. Yeah, that's better. definitely Pirate 6955, and I think it's Radio Free whatever. I think I saw that somewhere while looking through the stuff. But it's coming in on here. So that was on the Texan H501X, by the way. Meta Lunar, nice to have you on board. What else do we have? John Beckham, I think that it would be a safe assumption that to say that the 9-volt battery holds the record as the number one battery used in the first of the initial transistor radios. Yeah, they were popular back because, today, I don't know if you've noticed, but today, a lot of the devices we own run on very low voltages. And I mean, look at, for example, all the radios running on those lithium ion batteries, 3.7 volts, and that's it. Then they don't need more than that. Where back in the days, the electronics, we were, often using electronics that needed at least 6 and often 9 or 12 volts. That was the norm back then in electronics. So a lot of transistor radios used 9 volts. Unfortunately, 9-volt batteries are not the best choice for one reason is they don't last that long. They don't pack, they don't have a lot of power in them. So, okay, what else do we have? Let's try to go down here a little more. Metalunar, has anyone been able to capture one of Greenland's medium wave signals? Yeah, there's I know one guy in Newfoundland that hears that station all the time on medium wave. What's Paul's favorite drink? Pretty much water. Aerial imaging. Nice to have you here. Andy New has a Texan S2000 with D batteries and it lasts for ages. Yeah, and most radios today, they last like so long that you don't even, unless you really use a lot of the batteries, the radio on battery, alkalines are fine. David C. Stearns, what about Eneloop? I have heard they're pretty good made by Panasonic. Yeah, they earned, like I was saying earlier, they earned their they earned their good quality from the fact that they were the first to come out with the design that said, "Hey, these keep charge," which was something fairly new back then. And they were definitely good batteries, and I'm sure they're definitely still good batteries today. But I think the competition has caught up quite a lot, and that most good brands, and that's very important, most good brands are probably as good today. Barry, nice to have you here. LW Appleby, nice to have you. Appleby, nice to have you here. Aerial Imaging uses Energizer lithiums in the radio. Yeah, those are more expensive. Absolutely. Chastank, nice to have you on board from Louisville, Kentucky. What else do we have? Gabrielle, nice to have you on board from Uruguay. 57 years shortwave listener. Cool. Nice to have you here. Aerial imaging battery life in the 800 is hilariously bad. There are radios that definitely take a lot more power. Philtium, nice to have you here, my friend. John Beckham, I assume that the 6-volt lantern battery is still in production. Yep, still exists. You still have these big flashlights today that still use them. But that's going away because a lot of the flashlights today are more and more either rechargeable types or use the lithium ion batteries now. So you recharge your batteries. But by the 6 volts, man, that thing. What else do we have? Paul, nice to have you here from Southwest Michigan. Paul 6955 radio whatever sounds decent into Southwest Michigan tonight. We have just go down. Here we go. Here we go. Patrick says, Patrick, some receivers on that you use the light if they are on batteries. Yeah, well, actually, they let you use the light, but they have they limit the amount of time that the light is going to be on. So you'll have 30 seconds of light or 10 seconds of light. You know, like the St. GN. I'll have like 10 or 15 seconds of the light when you press the light button, and then it shuts off automatic to save the batteries. I honestly like the radios better that are that even though we know it consumes more power and the batteries won't last as long. I like the radios that still let you keep it on if you want. Barry, heard Cuban number station last night. Yeah, you probably mean 11435. And the QESDR from Utah. Cool. Greg Paudicat's fine. He's probably sleeping in the bedroom now. He was just here before. Sheldon Harvey from Greenfield Park, Quebec. Nice to have you on board. Yeah, my Commodore calculator. I remember the one I had was a 9-volt battery with the red LED display. 9-volt batteries will not last that long on that thing, especially when you have the long series of numbers. Oh, man. But 9 volts is still used in all sorts of things. But the 9-volt and the smoke detectors is slowly going to go away. Here, for example, here in Montreal, we have our law. Our smoke detectors, for a long time, a smoke detector was using a 9-volt battery. Problem is, smoke detectors with 9-volt batteries, biggest problem is people remove the battery when it actually accidentally goes off because of, you're cooking and you burn something or whatever. And so now there's a rule, there's a law here in the city. We had to change our smoke detectors with a new type of smoke detector that is a smoke detector with a battery you cannot remove, and that lasts 10 years. And it's some kind of lithium ion battery in it. And so you buy it, and you know that in 10 years I'll have to change it. And actually, when you buy it, there's a date on the smoke detector, and you have to, if the fire department comes and visit to see if your fire detector is working, they look at the date to make sure it's not past that 10 years. And it's to prevent people from removing the battery, and because too many people died because they removed the battery, didn't put it back in, and then they got a fire and the alarm didn't go off. And I think a lot of the smoke detectors are going to come in that category today, where it's going to be just, those 10 years detectors with lithium ion battery that you just can't remove. What else do we have? Let's check it out. Yeah, digital voltmeters use 9-volt. A lot of them, absolutely. That's true. Those don't take a lot of power, so the 9-volt batteries last quite long. The one I have here, the digital voltmeter that I have here, which is what brand is it? I forgot the name. I forgot that DVM turned on 2 days in a row, and it's like still good. The battery's still good. It's like they use very, very small amount of power today. John Foley Jr., nice to have you here from sunny Massachusetts. Scott Cranston has Radio Free Whatever coming in local in Massachusetts. Yep, using earphones will often make you save battery life. Absolutely. LW Appleby, yep, still use the RSPDX with the MLA30 loop. Terry Cook, nice to have you here. KF7BQ, nice to have you here. Better late than ever. Bart, nice to have you here. Which SDR software do you prefer to use for Spectrum recordings, and why? I don't do really any Spectrum recordings. I need to start that, but I would probably do a Spectrum recording simply using my SDR Uno. That works fine with the SDR Play device. But honestly, the software you use with an SDR, it's much more of a personal thing for a lot of people, depending on what you do. Chris Bell, nice to have you here. AE0IY just joined 30 ago. Had to work full shift today. Spectrum of Battery Show is the Radio Shack Battery of the Month Club. We're going to do the Shortwave Battery of the Month Club. But there's a lot of, it's nice to talk about that from time to time, because there's a lot of things that people still do with batteries, and do the wrong thing with them. Like taking lithium-ion batteries and using them until the batteries are totally discharged. And it's like, you don't do that on lithium-ion batteries. It actually will make them last much less. The lifespan of the battery is going to be crappy. You want to charge them when you're ready to charge them, and that at every time. It's like NIMH batteries. Don't do full discharges. There's no advantage to it, and you probably will have a better lifespan of the rechargeables. It's not like the old days of NiCads that you had to do deep cycles. So Leo Main, nice to have you on board from West Florida. Jim Gordon, you mentioned of damage caused by fast chargers. May explain why a set of my Texan rechargeables have died. I last used a fast charger with them. Yeah, fast chargers kill batteries real fast. Joe Spring, what do you think of the U-loop antenna? Sorry if I missed your review. Well, first of all, we got to put two categories of antenna with the U-loop and the MLA30, and it's obvious that that's where you've got to put the two antennas separate. The MLA30 is definitely an antenna that is made and designed to be outdoors and stay outdoors in the rain, the snow, the cold, whatever. It's meant for that purpose. And a U-loop is not. So what happens is that a U-loop is more of you need a quick antenna to put up somewhere. It's made for that, and because it's passive, doesn't require any power. That's the advantage it gets. And so they do advertise it more as a travel antenna. If you want, bring that antenna with you somewhere, just set it up when you want to listen to the radio, pack it back, and go home when you're finished. So they're definitely not the same antenna and not the same purpose for the antenna. So in performance, look, what I see here is simple. A U-loop and an MLA30 receive the same thing. The only difference is everything's stronger on the MLA30 because it's amplified. But none of the signals I've heard here, I could say I heard on one and none on the other. Both will bring you the same. And the fact that the noise is higher on the MLA30 is not because the MLA30 is, and then I see too many of these comments actually of people saying, well, the MLA30 is so noisy. It's not noisier than the U-loop. It's just that you'll have more noise floor because it's amplified. It amplifies everything, amplifies the noise if you have noise. It's simply that. Where I would say an MLA30 might actually beat a U-loop is if you're in a quiet environment using both, the amplification of the MLA30 might be able to fetch a weak station that the U loop would not because it's not amplified. And I see a lot of people buying a low noise amplifier for the U loop and all of that. If you're going to do that, buy an MLA30. You're spending twice the amount of money for something that is the same as an MLA30. That's my opinion personally. But, because I see people's like, oh, I bought a low noise amplifier for the U loop. It's like, buy an MLA30. It's less expensive and it works great. But the U loop works great for what it is. It's just that it's a passive antenna, and it's definitely not designed to be outdoors all the time in the rain and all of that. It's not, nothing is sealed in there. You don't want to have that outdoors for as your main antenna. But for a portable antenna anywhere or a quick, I put up a loop somewhere in my house. It does a great job for what it is. Scott Transon. Yeah, I did that when I was younger. I would actually take a copper wire, the stranded copper wires, and I would actually take only one little strand of it. And when my friends would come over, I said, "Look at that, it's so cool." And I would put the strand on the two the two springs that cause the terminal, and you'd see it light up, and then just like and a brush of smoke, it would just disappear. It would vanish, and they were like, "Oh, this is so cool." Of course, you don't do that too much because you are shorting the battery. But oh man, yeah, 9-volt batteries and the alarm clocks that keep the radio going. Have you guys ever noticed though that I think it was a Panasonic. I had a Panasonic, and alarm clock. And when the power, it's like one morning, the power went off for maybe 3 or 4 hours. Man, I don't know if they're all like that, but when it's on battery, man, the clock really, really misses a lot more than on power. On power, it would maybe take a minute, a month, or something like that. On battery, if you had a 6-hour outage, it was like 10 minutes off. It's like, whoa, okay, it's not the same thing. I know I think on YouTube somewhere, I've seen someone test with a circuit and different power consumption levels, different brands of batteries to see if, for example, energizers were really better than others. And it came out that energizers, if I remember well, it came out that energizers did have an edge. They did last longer, but the conclusion of the video was they last longer. But if you look at how much money for how much power you need, it came out that alkaline batteries that cost less came out better in how much you pay for the performance you're looking at, which meant that, yeah, that energizer was last longer, but it was so expensive compared to the other ones when it's not on sale that it was better to buy the other ones because you would get for the amount of money a better performance. But you would change the battery. But 2 batteries of the others would cost still less than one energizer, for example. It's something like that. I need to find that. It's been many years since I've seen that, but I believe I've seen something like that on a YouTube video from someone. A channel that I think I was looking at a long time ago that I probably ain't looking at much anymore. Um, what else do we have? 8764 upper sideband weather with a nice clean signal. Let's see if I'm getting anything here. You're on what? 8764. Yeah. Oops. Wrong. 8764. Am I getting anything here? Yeah.
South, a gale force off Columbia every night through the middle of next week. Fresh to strong winds will continue over the eastern and central Caribbean through early Sunday. The area of strong winds.
So that's on the Texan H501X through the line-out jack. Fast load. Now that I have a way of selecting my antenna rapidly with Virus PDX, I can tell you that my own main dipole is light years stronger than the MLA30. MLA30 is great in confined setup, agreed, but it's not the pinnacle of antennas. The thing is of the MLA30, and it's exactly what I always say, is in a high noise environment where a dipole or any type of antenna like that picks up too much noise, the MLA30 is the way to go because it's the one that's going to get the best signal out of it. But in an environment where the noise level is lower or inexistent, pretty much, like in a rural area, a long wire, just a long wire, not even a dipole, a long wire will beat an MLA30 easily, because it gets a lot more signal. The MLA30 is for what it is really designed for very high noise. The MLA30 is what you need because that's how it's going to work better. And for, like you said, a confined setup. So if you don't have place for any antennas, the MLA30 is your best bet. N6RLS, I always set my battery recharger to run at very slow rates. Seems to help batteries last longer. It does because it creates less heat inside the batteries. It's almost gone now, but that was vodka cranberry juice, Chas tank. Man Max wanted to test a LNA on the U-loop. While the noise floor is still lower than the MLA30, it amplifies interference a lot more. I posted a few compare pictures on Thunderbird's Discord. Zen Pharaohs, the reason to buy a low noise amplifier for the U-loop is because it is slightly better amplifier than the one that comes with the MLA30, and you can use it with other antennas. Yeah, but what I've seen from a lot of people that posted videos, I don't see it better than the one in the MLA30. But if you do get a better low noise amplifier, it's possible you might get. But when you're at that level of price, I mean, you're starting to, I don't know. But I don't know, I guess, you know. Dimitris, any vertical antenna are good for shortwave listening. Verticals are usually avoided in shortwave listening because, first of all, they are known to be very noisy because they get equally all around. And they can be very long because you can't have an internal length of vertical antenna. And that's why on shortwave, everybody goes for a wire or a dipole that is, of course, horizontal because you can set up something that is much bigger and will get much more signal and avoid maybe some interference depending on how you set it up. Yeah, Paul, pretty much. Absolutely. Steel wheel and 9-volt battery. Yeah, probably. You can set up a fire for sure. Should be in your emergency kits, survival kits. Aerial imaging, there's a really good video of comparing batteries from Project Farm, and he breaks it down by cost. It might be the video you saw. Surprisingly, Duracells are among the worst of all. Yeah, what I remember, the one I saw, and I don't remember which one it was. Maybe it was that video. But what I remember is what they were saying is that energizers were, yes, lasted longer. But if you looked at the price they were sold for, what came out is that actually alkalines of some other brands for the price were better. You had more for the money spent with other brands that were less expensive, even if they didn't last as long as the Energizer. Because even if you needed two of them to have power, two of those were less expensive than one Energizer. And you had as much, if not more, power. But the other side of that, it's not very good for the environment. I do have a hole in my. Do I have? Yeah. Oh man, I got a hole. Look at that. That's embarrassing. Live on YouTube. A hole in my shirt. It's a CKU T-shirt, but it's the old one. Um, so for the environment, it's not a good idea because I mean, yeah, if you need two batteries for one of the other brand, you are polluting the planet a little faster. And batteries aren't the best for the environment. M1MBZ making the MLA30 loop bigger doesn't make it better at HF. It does our increased performance on lower frequencies, but not necessarily a lot better. Yeah, because on the MLA30, you got to remember that circuit is tuned for the size of the loop. And but what I would say of the U loop for that, the U loop is slightly bigger, and I would say that because it's slightly bigger, the medium wave and long wave could technically be better because it's bigger. It's like my W6 LVP loop in the back, which is much bigger. Um, I should take a look and see if I can actually remove the filtering to get medium wave because it um, might actually be better on medium wave long wave than an MLA30. The MLA30 has a drop off point where below, and I could see it against the W6 LVP loop, for example, below about 3 megahertz. As you go down, you see that I see that a W6 LVP loop actually is better. So it shows me that the 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 MLA30 starts to have performance issues below 3 megahertz, and the lower you go, the less it performs well in there. But it's still okay. I mean, I use the MLA30 on long wave and on medium wave for the Navtex, and it's still a decent performer. But I can tell you that internal ferrite of a portable is as good. If you don't have a lot of noise, it's going to get the signal as good as using the MLA30. Internal ferrite is just surprising on radios. Chris Bell talking about 9-volt batteries. Try steel wool. Once it gets going, it burns. Make a good campfire starter. And don't put that 9-volt battery in your pocket with all your change. That's a very bad idea. Yeah, please do, Zen Pharaohs. Please do. It's always fun to see everybody's results with different you know hardware and testing. RJ Dakota. Okay. What else we have? Yeah, about tests. Man Max says the low noise amplifier about to test was the New Elec LN8 long wave, medium wave, HF bare bones. Okay. Interesting. What else do we have? Matt says you never know what's going on with the U.S. Air Force HF global system unless you're one of those USAF ops sending or receiving messages. Yeah, pretty much. Greg, I'm thinking of getting this Sangean 909X. What do you think? It's okay. It's an okay radio. I mean, it works well for what it is. It has its flaws, but it works well for what it is. So Patrick Fitzpatrick. What do we have? Jason V9, Jason JMC 8992 active again. I don't know if it's still active at this time. Let's try it out. 8992. Yeah, look at that. Let's try 11175. Oh, 11175 is even better.
This is Belt Loop, more to follow, stand by. Bravo, 4.
Sounds so creepy.
Charlie.
His voice is Charlie. Bravo. It's like, wow, you sound so robotic. So robotic. Aerial imaging, best medium wave antenna found, Seacrane twin coil, truly excellent. Zenfarrell's big difference with U-loop, lower frequencies, that the U-loop is a Mobius loop, so it actually 2 turns, even though it's 1 circle. So it adds more wire to it, that's for sure. That's for sure. So that is 11175 for the U.S. Global Command stuff. So I just want to go, as I'm down in the chat now, I'm going to stop for a second. Just want to go a little bit about some of the ranges, because our friend in France wanted to have a little bit of a look of frequencies. And what we'll do is we'll talk about the ranges from, like, in the next few shows. We'll go and eventually have all the spectrum. First of all, what's in 29 to 30 megahertz for those that wonder? And if you're new to the hobby and you wonder what is there in those frequency ranges, I sometimes never, because you might never hear anything in those ranges actually. First of all, 29 to 30 megahertz, most of it is the 10-meter amateur radio band, but it has an interesting side to it. The amateur radio band in 29,000 to 30,000 kilohertz, or 29 to 30 megahertz, which is the same thing, is the modes that they use. So from 29,000 to 29,300-ish, you'll have AMers. We hear on the 80-meter band, there's a lot of AMers. I even hear a lot of AMers on the 7290, 7295 on 40 meters. Well, the bottom part of the 29 megahertz 10-meter band, AMers also. And there's quite a lot of activity. When the bands are open, you'd be surprised at the amount of AMs in AM mode on that frequency range. What's cool about the range of 10 meters when propagation is good is how the signals fade very slowly compared to lower frequencies where often have, fast fades and deep fades. 10 meters is more like you'll have a strong signal for quite a while, then it'll fade down, and it's like really, really slow fade most of the time. You'll hear, of course, stations from far away on 10 meters easily compared to lower frequencies there. Above 29,300-ish up to 29,700, the band there is in narrow band FM. So if you were wondering why some tabletop receivers have FM on them, a lot of it has to do with the 10-meter band, 29,300 to 29,700. And the last part of that band, actually, 29,600 to 29,700, has even some repeaters. I remember in the last solar cycle, in the 90s solar cycle, more than that, I was listening almost constantly. There was a Virgin Islands FM repeater on 29,660. That was pretty cool. And I was getting that with a scanner radio, I remember. Last that I heard was a couple of months ago. I think it was in New York, 2962 in New York City, I believe. I don't know if it's still active, but there are quite a few FM repeaters in the 10-meter band. And so that's kind of cool to listen to. Above 29,700 to 30,000, and probably most of us have never really heard much there. One of the things that is in that part is U.S. Air Force and the Civil Air Patrol has several frequencies. Now, how how active these frequencies are or not, that's anybody's guess. I was looking here at the Gail Van Horn's frequency list, and she has listed here quite a few frequencies, like one in particular that is kind of apparently a major frequency there is 29894. So 29894. That might be interesting to monitor when you hear the 10-meter band. Maybe 29894 could be a frequency to monitor. Here it says Civil Air Patrol nationwide. So that could be some interesting stuff. But utilities, possibly. But honestly, I don't think I've ever heard anything between 29,700 and 30,000. That little 300 kilohertz there, I don't think I've heard anything. Maybe I wasn't listening at the right time. As obviously here it says that there's some frequencies that are probably active. But 29 to 29, 700, that will definitely be the 10-meter band with AMers and some FM in there. If you don't have an FM radio, because I get that from time to time, it's like, yeah, but I don't have FM on my radio. Can I have FM on the portable? Yeah, most radios don't come with FM mode on them. Most of the FM is either on SDRs. On SDR, you'll have that, or on a tabletop. But on portables, I don't remember seeing a portable with FM on shortwave. So what you could do, you can still listen to an FM, the narrow FM signal. It's just going to sound slightly distorted. If you hear a repeater, for example, that's on 29620, just tune 2 kilohertz off, 29618 or 29622. And even if you're in AM mode, you'll pretty much make out the conversation. It's slightly distorted, but it works, still works. And you'll still be able to hear what they're saying and understand what they're saying. It's just that you're not using the proper mode, of course, but it works. And as we're in the 10-meter band, 28 to 29,000, that's one frequency range that is 10-meter band. I mean, the 10-meter band is huge compared to all the other amateur bands. It is the biggest HF band that exists. And that HF band is mostly single sideband from 28,000 to 29,000. And the division is always pretty much like every other band. The bottom part, 28,000 to 28, 60 ish, is CW Morse code. Then you'll have some various digital modes, including the FT8 on 28074. And you'll move up to more CW and some beacons, which is always nice. I don't know here if we can... let me see if I can. Well, lots of activity on the emergency action messages. So 28150. Let's see if I can hear. I don't know if it's 28. I don't see a lot of activity on. Oh, yes. Yep. There's still some activity on 10 meters right now. So let's see if I can hear a. So if you tune in, if you want to know if 10 meters open, often do that. Tune around from about 28 150 to 28 300. And you might hear there's quite a lot of beacons usually that are active there. Not really getting anything special right now. But when propagation is open, tune around. There's a lot of 10-meter beacons. And you actually have, if you Google 10-meter beacon list, you'll have a list of all the beacons that are active and that with their frequencies. It's one of the great ways actually to brush up on your Morse code CW, by the way. And above 28,300 up to 29,000 upper sideband, it's usually voice single sideband. And with the higher solar activity lately, 10 meters has been open almost every day. So it's a great frequency range to listen to. So check it out, 28,000 to 30,000 kilohertz. Lots of little things in there. And with the 10-meter band open lately, if you have never heard anything there, now's the time to hear stuff because it's pretty active, honestly. Okay, back here. Back here, we have let me check it out. WF7 Ombro 8992 into Western Virginia, very strong. Aerial imaging, those U.S. Air Force stations are majorly active lately. Leaving it on frequency and I'll go off many times a day. Yep. Definitely a lot more activity and probably goes on with what's happening with Ukraine and Russia. Chris Powell, yesterday I had a squirrel through my nylon rope holding the G5 RV and a maple tree, and it fell. Now I have a spring project to do. Too cold to do any antenna work now, but no HF for now. Those squirrels. Chuck Yunkin, nice to have you here. Matt, currently 11175, strongest frequency for me, not getting anything on 13200, which is surprising. Anyone hearing 13200? Let's try it out here. I'm going to plug myself into. When I'll hear something, I'm just going to switch here to the other battery because I've been using the H501 for many hours today with the light on all the time. So what I'll do is I'm going to leave it low volume. When I hear some activity, I'm going to try 13200. And I'll try 15016 also. 6933, Pirate blasting in Virginia. 6933. Trying to get the it's a little off. I don't know what exact precise frequency. It's a little off. It's tough sometimes to tune a SSB properly, the SSB on a, especially when there's music. I have to wait when there's talk. So I hear it not strong, but I hear it over here, 6933. I keep that up. We'll try 13200 when it comes up. Matt, just looked up the U.S. Air Force Global Command on Wikipedia. It doesn't have 13200 listed. Oh, here it goes. 13200. I hear nothing on 13200. That's 15016. 11175.
Charlie, stand by, message follow. Bravo, 4,
8992.
Charlie, Juliet,
6739. Down here, 6739. 4724. So I hear it on most of the frequencies. Hear it on most of the frequencies, but 13200 is not one of them. But thinking about that, I believe, Matt, that they have some frequencies they drop for the winter time or for a certain times of the year that they use in other times. Because I remember seeing a US Global Command frequency list, and they had a little star next to some of the frequencies like 13200, and they were saying, like, for example, this is used only from May to September, and the other frequencies were like, October to April. I believe I've seen something like that they switch depending on the time of the year on some of their frequencies. Zenfaro 6955 Pirate. P3 JPX 6955 coming in really good in Ottawa. I'm just going to do something here. I'm going to calibrate my try to get something to calibrate it on. What time is it now? 18. I calibrate something. I calibrate on something. Okay. That sounds like. Okay. I wasn't that far though. It was only about 20 hertz off. 6955. Yeah, 6955. So pretty good. 6955, not bad at all here too on the Texan H501X. As you guys can hear. Apparently it's radio free whatever, so they probably may be moved. They were on the other frequency earlier. Robert Osborne, how useful is SSB when looking for a new shortwave radio? I'm finally replacing my old Grundig S350. If you want to hear the pirates we're listening to right now, if you want to hear a U.S. Global Command that's sending all of that, if you want to hear amateur radio operators, that's where all is happening. Is pretty much all the time in single sideband. There are more signals in single sideband across the whole spectrum of shortwave than there are things on the international broadcast AM bands. So that gives you an idea that there's a lot. There's a lot of stuff that you're missing out when you're not on. You don't have SSB. So we have definitely a lot more choice. Thomas, nice to have you on board from up of Michigan. And says Tom and Susie buried in the snow. Chris 66, 15016 upper sideband. Yeah, that's not a number station, by the way. What the global command is. These are U.S. Global Command. They do have phonetics and send out phonetics and stuff like that, but it's not what we call a number station. It's really a U.S. Air Force coded messages. It's a kind of a different purpose. It's really internally for their own military, and they have multiple frequencies at the same time. 4724, I heard. 8992, 11175, 15116 are all active at the same time most of the time. they use multiple frequencies so to make sure that propagation of at least one will hit pretty much everywhere. The Lone Wolf Ottawa channel got me. The channel got me to pass my basic. Now I am full advanced working on code. I'm still learning from this channel. Thank you, VA3BNS. Cool. Welcome aboard. So yeah, but I heard nothing too on 13200, and I think that some of them are not active at certain times of the year. And of course, you can decode digital signals, all of that. So everybody's giving you the reason why. Definitely, definitely good to have a SSB or a single sideband receiver. Barry 11175 was weak. We have 7i Homebrew, nothing on 13200. Hey, Jay Watterson 69, nice to have you on board. But like I said, I'm pretty sure I saw a list somewhere that some of the frequencies like 13200 aren't active at certain times. So, Madrid the Xer, are you able to receive the buzzer more now that they may have increased their signal? I know that I've heard it the other day. What was it, last week? It was actually coming in surprisingly well. Let me just try it out now, just for the fun of it. We're hearing it. That's on my Texan H501X. It's not very strong, but it's there. So if you guys want to try it, the buzzer is making it at least here in Montreal for 625. And that's on the Texan H501X using the MLA30 outdoors. What else do we have? So if you guys want to try the different global command of frequencies are 4724, 992, 71775, and 15016 are the one I heard now. Kilohertz and upper sideband. They're active pretty much throughout all the day. WF7i Homebrew's got 4625. Good signal from the buzzer in Virginia. So off of dipoles. Cool. So it's making it. It seems to be stronger. I don't know if it's just the impression. Could they have made that more powerful? So kind of interesting, because it's been easier, but it could be just because of the time of the year. Usually February-ish, March is when I get it, and that it will actually get weaker as time goes by. Another message on 4724. Let's go up. There we go. I've heard activity, but I've rarely heard that much activity. James Gilbert, if you're using Earth or counterpoise, well, the M30 does not need that because it's self-contained, so it's not made for that, and you don't need any of that. But depending on the antennas you use, sometimes it could be useful to do so. But what I have right now is antennas. I don't need any of that. But as I set up antennas, yeah, there sometimes it could be useful. Absolutely. Mickey Dalmich, CBC TV has an Olympic app called The Buzzer. They get permission to use the name. Imagine Mickey. It's like you get the app on your phone, and it's like, okay, what's the password? 4625, and you're in, and you're in some secret part of the app that does things. Oh man. Um, Henry Bowman, nice to have you here. And says longtime shortwave listener in Ham. Madrid Exer, and in the news, the U.S. government have advised their citizens. Yeah, well, many countries have advised citizens to just leave, including Canada. I think Canada did the same thing. Um, Kamaxi 76. I wonder if all these military messages are a sign that something is about to go down, or at least some preparations for sure. Vicky Pelletier, nice to have you on board. Which frequencies you were listening to, please? Yep, the that was the Global Air Command U.S. Air Force frequencies, which are 4724, um, 8992, 11175, and 15016 upper sideband. And it's basically it's the U.S. Air Force sending encoded messages for their own military activity. So pretty crazy the activity today. When we say shortwave puts us, we were at the forefront of the Cold War, and listening to that puts us as shortwave listeners at the forefront of all the activity and the military activity. Even though we can't decode the messages, we gotta admit that it's kind of cool to hear all of that activity and the increase in activity. And I'm pretty sure there's a lot more if we tune around the bands and check out. And you know what could be fun? I'm gonna put the audio. How about I'm gonna tune? We're gonna do something, guys. How about I go fill up this glass and I will tune some spectrum. I'll put the audio of the radio here that you can hear, and I'll tell you guys a frequency range I'm going through. You guys can slowly tune with me on the same ranges and see what you get that I get or I don't get or whatever. How about that? Does that sound cool? I think that sounds kind of interesting. And the first idea I had is how about we start at 4 megahertz and go from 4 megahertz up. So 4,000 kilohertz. You guys put your radio there in upper sideband. And if I switch mode, I'll tell you guys if I switch mode. And if you want to follow with me, we're going to do that, and we're going to try to find out also at the same time what are we listening to. So give me 2 seconds, guys. We're going to have a little pause here, and I'm back with a drink, and we'll be tuning the bands a little together with those frequency ranges. And we're back. And we're going to tune around. I put a shirt on because it's starting to get kind of cold here. It's 19 in the room, and it's -7 outside. So we're going to tune around. I'm going to start at 4,000 kilohertz and up. I'll put some audio, and we'll tune around and see what we can expect from what you can hear on the different frequency ranges. And I'll bring up a couple of references for checking out what we're hearing. One of them I will be using here. And we're going to check out what we're going to get in those frequency ranges. So let's start. So I'm going to go to 4 megahertz, and there's some military stuff. There are signals in there that sometimes you might have heard and wonder what they are, RTTY, if we can identify it and where it comes from. I think that's going to be cool. So I'm starting at 4,000 kilohertz going up. And here we go. Let's start checking that out. So the bottom part of 4 megahertz has a lot of Mars nets and stuff, but it's still early for that. Usually they're more like around 0-100. So we're going to check it out and tune around. Mike WX50, nice to have you here. What else do we have? Drink is a great idea. Aerial imaging, Grace coming in great on 9420. What else do we have? Let me go back here. David, okay, I'm back to me some time than expected. Cool. And we're just in time for the tune along. So, Charlie McKee, could you do a show on getting back into shortwave listening? Don't know if one should go with the old ICOM I-71A, being a knob fiddler, or a new SDR world of capabilities. Yeah, you know what? How about we do, maybe we could do that the next show. How about on Wednesday? We could do a, you're back into the shortwave hobby, what to expect, first of all, today, and what are the choices and what's the advantages of that. I think that's a good idea. So next Wednesday, how about we dedicate the show to you're back, what to expect. So I'm going to start tuning around, guys. I'll at 4,000 kilohertz, and I'll be, of course, giving you guys all the straight dope of what I'm hearing on the ranges. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Sunny LM, nice to have you on board from Australia. New Ham, and if you live in Australia, listen on portable radio. Can you listen to Ham from the US or other countries? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. You can. You just need to be listening at the right time and at the right frequency ranges. But you can hear hams from all around the world. You just need to be listening at the right time, and hopefully you don't have too much noise where you are to listen. Okay, 4,000 kilohertz. Let's put the sound on. The sound you're hearing is that of my Texan H501X. What I think I'm going to do is actually do this. I think that's going to be fun for you guys to go and see the radio here as I tune around. So 4,000 kilohertz and up. Let's start tuning around and see what I hear. So that's 4012 upper sideband. 4012 upper sideband. So this is what sounds like a radio teletype. Not sure of where it comes from though. There's something here, 4023 temporarily. And by the way, if anybody hears something special, on any of the frequencies. Check it out. So that's pretty quiet. We're at it's interesting to see what we can get. That's 4210. I don't know if that's a local interference or not. Oh, there's some Navtex. 4208. 4208.5-ish. There's Navtex going on. And I'm going to actually tune it on my portable here. And I'm going to bring out FLDG and see if we can actually hear anything. Is that... Just going to check out here if I have the inputs working. Yeah, inputs are working. Am I getting Navtex? Yeah, Navtex is here. Navtex mode, yep. I don't know if I'm going to decode anything. But definitely some Navtex. I wonder if it could be Argentina. It's not strong enough for a decode here. Let's try IBI space. Just want to see what it's going to give me there by frequency. I'm getting more random characters than anything else right now. If we could get at least a phrase, it would be fun too. But I think, and I would not be surprised that this could be Argentina, actually. Just stopped at the time that we're trying to decode. Oh, I think it's back. Is it? $42. Oh. I'm hearing Morse code now, TAH. Oh, that's interesting. Could it have been them? TAH, Radio Istanbul, the, yeah, we're hearing the Morse code now. TAH. It's weak, but that comes from Turkey. I wouldn't be surprised that the Navtex that was on 4208 was L2C Argentina. I've decoded it there a few times.
4211. So TAH, I'm hearing Turkey. Let me just go here. (4234). That sounds like Stanag. It's a form of Stanag. And 3334. Got a beep, but I think that beep over it is local interference here. It's 4290. That could be 4288.6 here. According to the list I have, this would be Stanag from the French Navy coming out of France. So that's a possibility of what Stanag is. Stanag is a digital mode, by the way. And 4295 would also be Stanag from France. French Navy Stanag. Unfortunately, encrypted. Even if you use software like you can decode some Stanag with that ugly software, the multi-PSK. But most of it is often very is encrypted. WF7I Homebrew has 4234. Lots of Stanag around 48, 4340, 4339. 4339, anything here listed? 4338. Once again, French. There's a lot of Stanag from France. That also is this French Navy, 4338. That's local interference. I'm hearing something on 4425. Or 425. There's nothing on my SDR, so I think it's some kind of spurious signal that the Texan is having here. Interesting. So 4440. And all the way up to look how strong that is. That's Kodar. So if you hear those chirping between 4440, 4480, there's actually two here. And if you hear the same signal chirping like this, same signal chirping like this on the bands, this is Kodar, which is a type of radar to measure the ocean waves. Pretty strong in the 4 megahertz range started now. Some really fast chirping around 4740. So it's probably another type of Kodar. This one is much faster. $48.10. $48.10. And $48.10. Once again, French. $48.10. French Navy. I'm amazed at the amount of French Navy Stanag. Pretty crazy. Hang part, nice to have you here. I'm in aerial imaging, upper sideband. When it's not broadcast, I'll always tune in upper sideband. Sunburn Templar, nice to have you on board. Yep, upper sideband. Joey D, nice to have you on board. Joey, it's just that it's different signals, and some of it can be decoded. When it's not, it's just noise, but it's fun to know that it comes from the French Navy, for example. At least you know that. But some of it sometimes can be decoded, and you can use the software to decode the messages. I'm going to go up. Just go over here, 5 megahertz. So 5025 now. That's Radio Rebelde. 5025 Radio Rebelde out of Cuba. For Stanag, you have to use a software that is called multi-PSK. That's the one that decodes some Stanag, some form of Stanag. Last time I've decoded Stanag was in the 12 megahertz range. I could hear Stanag coming out of Senegal, and it was in the clear. But most of like the French Navy is probably encrypted. 4825. What do I see on 4825? I have some. I have here what sounds more like a local interference because it doesn't move. There's no fading. $5040, which is Radio Havana, Cuba. $5085 WTWW with music. Some former RTTY on 5120. Let me just check it out here. Check out the. So this is 4 megahertz. 5119. Here has nothing unlisted. So I don't know where this one comes from. Oh, by the way, guys, I'm getting a Klingenfuss utility for 2022. A fan of the channel that loves what I do is sending me that, so I think it's going to be cool to. And it has a lot of info. A lot of these signals that I don't know where they come from are probably listed in there. Yeah, it's possible, Zenfaros, that inside the coder there's other things, because the coder is very large, and there are other types of signals in there also. So it's possible to get that. John Beckham, 5025, coming in Northeast Florida. Aerial imaging has spy numbers on 17480. Let's just temporarily go and check out if I hear it while here. Not, I got nothing here. So let's go back to 5125. We'll go up. Some more standing on 5216. It's 5338, 5339. 5339. It's got listed as, I don't know, I got it here. And your listing here, 5339. This is going to be more fun with the Klingenfuss book, because it's going to tell me what type of station. So that sounds like some form of RTTY. So 5339. It's hard to say. So here, here there's STANAG, there's U.S. Navy STANAG, and I know that some STANAG sound like they are radio teletype, but they are in reality a different form of STANAG. So this could be the U.S. Navy STANAG. Andrew DXers and multi-PSK's 5 minutes of encryption for STANAG for free users. To get unlimited decode, you need to pay a license. Yeah, I know that there's some modes. Some of the modes you need to pay to get them working on that software. John Hummel, what device are you using to match the radio signals to the computer? Well, actually, I'm running the SDR on the computer, which itself, I drive the audio through the FLDG software here. So I don't need anything special because the computer does it internally. But if you have an external radio and want to do it, an audio cable to the input of the microphone or the line in of the computer to drive the audio, and then the software, you'll simply pick the correct audio input in the computer for that. William Parmley, STANAG reminds me of the Lauren sounded. Yeah, and the 100 kilohertz range. Greg doesn't like batteries in shortwave receiver. I like plugged in. Yeah, but often plugged in, you have a lot more noise. I use all my radios, most of the radios in battery, because they have much lower noise than when they're plugged in. So 5338 coming into Northeast Florida. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm going to check something here quickly. RTTY 5338 kilohertz. Shortwave. Utility forum. So here encrypted, yeah. It would seem that it's the U.S. Navy from the info I'm getting on different things. So this seems to be from the U.S. Navy somehow, and it's encrypted. $5346.5. 5346.5. Some talk. There's very weak. I believe that's one of the channels of the 60-meter band, right? This is a Chromebook, so it's running an app which is called Day and Night Map, and you can get it on the Google Play Store. Day and Night Map, because what I do here on this one is on all the time, by the way, and what I do with this. And as you guys see my table, anyways, it's time to I'm gonna actually show you guys what all of it is. So let me just put the volume down. So this is a setup I pretty much use all the time. So if I'm listening to the radio, I sometimes on the big screen TV, you guys don't see, but where I see your stuff, where I see your the chat room and all. I have the SDR Play RSPDX. But here the setup is that, so in weekdays, most of the time I use this to make the YouTube videos. I use this, and I use also the other computers there. But here on this one, I'm running the AirSpy HF Plus Discovery. This is what you see with the software, which is SDR Console V3. I will have often the tablet running with either the EIBI space lists, or I also, Gail Van Horn, for example, with utility stuff, I have the Gail Van Horn book that has a listing of a lot of stuff that I'm looking through and checking out as I'm tuning around. Now, here in the back, so here we go. So these are hams 5346.5.
I guess this will be my last round.
But STANAG is not always NATO, Andy. It could be of different types. But it usually is either military, Navy, and so on. But it's not necessarily always NATO. But NATO does use STANAG, absolutely.
You know, the long string of tape, and you have to painstakingly try to get it.
So that's 5346.5. These are hams. This is one of the ham channels in upper sideband.
Oh boy, the good old days, huh? Anyways, yeah, that was good to hear Alberto in there briefly, sending CW. And I believe he was, he picked up.
The Xer has another signal on 4625 with the buzzer. So my multi-coupler, I actually screwed to the table right here because I can easily switch to plug multiple radios depending on what I do. So right now the Texan H501X, the AirSpy, the RSP DX, and of course in the back I've got other radios I could plug in if I want. Chromebook, I use, it's on all day long for a very simple thing. One of the things I do is always keep my docs open here because I log what I listen to here. So for example, I will add that, I can add here that, oops, 4625 kilohertz, a USB, Russia, UVB 76, buzzer, weak signal at, so what was it? It was about 2140 UT, something like that, on February 12th, 2022. So now I just logged it here. It's saved to the cloud automatically because this is a Chromebook. And this is what I refer to. So if I need, for example, my logs for something, and I split it in half in a simple Word type document. First half of the first half is utilities. The second half is international broadcast. So, whoops, I put it in the wrong place here. So I'm going to remove it. But so I log, and when I don't use it for logging or anything, or if I don't have anything, but I'm listening to the radio, the day-night app is running, and I leave it on the day-night app, so it shows me where the grain line is in real time, and where it's dark and where it's daylight. So I have that used for my Chromebook here, and also the Chromebook has the app for the Kiwi SDRs. So I actually will go here if I want to try something, and I'll have instantly the map of the Kiwi SDRs online. I can actually zoom in, or I can click an SDR anywhere. So when I do this, I can now go and click an SDR and have it working and listen to that SDR if I want to. So this computer is kind of dedicated to a radio job pretty much for most of it. And because it's a Chromebook, well, I'm running Google apps. So day-night map, Kiwi SDR, and the Google Docs, all of that is there on this computer here. So that's my setup and the way I kind of work with all the stuff I use. Stephen, I hold a full license which allows me to communicate with the military on their frequency surrounded by air bases in Cambridge. Yeah, Simon's World Map is not bad for Windows. Absolutely, that's a good one too. Simon's World Map is a good one. Absolutely. Wikiped C 5346, but the .5 that follow, I am not able to obtain. How can I obtain? Bod 123 has 5960 Voice of Turkey, by the way. Yeah, you have to use fine tuning on the 990X. So I have it here plus. So when you're tuning, you have to be in upper sideband, first of all. Because if you want to have the other display for the precision, you have to put yourself in upper sideband. Now you got the extra numbers here. And once the extra numbers are there, then you can actually fine tune to the frequency that you want. So make sure you're in upper sideband because that's where we are. And then you fine tune with the central button here. Hope that helps. We're a bunch of helpful people. And that's what is cool about this place. So 5346.5 is a ham radio 60 meter band frequency. Shannon 5505. So we're going to continue going up here. I'm going to Zero into the digit. $53, $57, FT8. Some ham FT8. A lot of them there. $54.50. $54.50. Royal Air Force from the United Kingdom with its weather station. 5450 upper sideband. Chris 66, thanks. And you know, it's fun to have a functional place. So like that, you can do what you want. Here I have my RSPDX is just right here in the corner. So that's the RSPDX. And it's plugged into the other computer there with the big screen TV. And it's fun to have a nice setup to play with, and that, you know, so I can log easily. I have that map. I have the radio here I can tune. I have AirSpy there. And I can easily switch all of that and have different things in no time. We're happy to help, Vicky. Barry, no, the D cells on my DX390 just croaked. Well, I guess better add batteries to my shopping list for tomorrow. Talking about batteries. John Beckham, great show today indeed. Thank you very much. WF7i Homebrew, 5450 strong. Chess Tank, that's another reason I like this channel and your Facebook, full of folks willing to share knowledge and being and not being snobby. Yep, exactly. That's what we are. We are simple people that want to help it with others. Stephen, that's RAF Vomit at 5450. Yep, the Royal Air Force Vomit in the UK. So, anything else? Let's go up. 5505. Shannon. This is the aeronautical weather station out of Shannon, Ireland. 5505. 5505. I don't get noise from the computers because all the antennas come in through very good shielded cables. So the antenna of the Texan is plugged here. This is the cable that goes to the multi-coupler in the back over here. They are high quality shielded cables. So even if the computers are close, I get zero noise in them because everything is shielded very well. So even if I shut down everything here, you won't even see a difference in interference on the radio. Yeah, tuning the bands with the ICOM, David. Absolutely. You know, actually, I should take time to do this a little more. Sometimes I don't know what to do in videos in a day. I should just set up. I just should just set up, you know, like this, for example, or with the SDR or whatever radio, and just tune around, and that's it. VE3 JPX. The thing is the MLA30 is already with its own little very thin coax with an SMA connector. And since each radio has a very different connector, they are custom-made cables that are already ready. So, for example, this is a cable that is the audio jack here, which is the type of connector for the antenna connector of this portable. But on the other end, it's a BNC connector because the multi-coupler has BNC connectors on it. So what is the important thing is that the coax in between both of them is good. I don't know if I don't see any writing on this, but I purchased this online and on Amazon, but with all the comments of everybody saying, no, this is high quality. They are very well shielded. I use them, and I try to avoid the cables that people are saying, well, that's crap, because I don't make them myself. So I purchased them already with the proper connectors on top. But you got to be careful which ones you buy, though, because it's not all the cables on Amazon are good. Some of them are really shady. I have one with PL259 connectors on them, and it's like the PL259s are really shady and bad quality. So you got to be careful what you purchase, though. Stephen, first use radio comms, amateur and satellite frequencies at my naval college in Kent. Closed down after 200 years service, unfortunately. Yeah, times are changing, eh? John Meckham, this is great proof on how well the loop antenna works. Yep. Barry, I'm working on setting up all my radios gear in the living room so it's all in one place and not spread out. That's a good idea, honestly. David, that'd be awesome if you made more videos and live streams like this. After all, on the radio stream, what better than engaging and actually putting our radios and overall gear to use together? Yeah, and since, this is shortwave, what's nice about it is that the chances that someone in Europe or in another place around the world might even hear the signal that we're tuning is actually quite good. It depends on the frequencies and times for sure, but it's not impossible. Like for example, 5505 here, you would probably hear that in Spain right now if you would tune with us. Hey, Shelly, nice to have you here. Yeah, but you got to check because not everything comes from China. For example, the cables I have here, on Amazon, were purchased through an electronics store that is in Canada that makes them. So when you go on Amazon and you look at the stuff you're buying, look at where it's made. You'll have some are going to tell you, well, this comes from this company and from Toronto, from Vancouver, whatever, or in the U.S. There are some of them that sell through Amazon. You just got to be careful. WSI Homebrew, just wanted to say this segment is really great. Loving tuning the band, seeing your gear, listening along. Cool. We'll do more of those. And actually, what I used to do, and David remembers that probably, is I used to just, randomly get live and we would just tune around. That happens very, very often that we would do that. And I think sometimes when I don't know what to do much in videos, I should probably just, hey, let's tune the bands and we'll see what happens. I know these are popular. People like that a lot. And each time it's going to be a different radio. I can even put the Kenwood R5000 and all, 5500. Getting in the aeronautical frequencies here. That'd be nice. It'd be nice to get some aeronautical stuff. Propagation seems okay, but not as good as I used to see sometimes. Let me just 5600 here. One of the things I do sometimes is not using the SDR necessarily, but will be looking at the waterfall to give me an idea of anything that could pop up near the frequency I'm tuning on the portable, for example. That's something that I often do. Robert Osborne having fun tuning the bands. That's kind of fun. You know, we always say it's a solitary thing. Tuning the bands together is definitely fun because, you know, and propagation makes it different for all of us. Some of you listen, will hear something stronger than I have. Some of you are lucky to have less noise than me. So I'm on the International Broadcast Band 5800 WRMI. So how about we continue and we tune through the 49 meter band starting at 5800 kilohertz. So 5800 right now, which I believe is Supreme Master. Supreme Master. So 5800, that is WRMI, but listed here as simply WRMI radio. But that does sound like Supreme Master on 5800. Very much unsettled in Alberta, K6. It sounds like that, Mickey, because I don't feel the propagation and the signals as strong as I usually will have them. Like 5505 and 5450 are usually stronger than that for me here. Well, I'll do this week one day. I haven't tuned it a lot, but I'll arrange for a live show this week, random live show, and we'll tune my good old Kenwood R5000. I think that's going to be fun to tune around with it and listen to what's coming out of this radio. I haven't used it much since I got it back, so I think it's going to be cool. A comfortable life and receive good and proper treatment to protect them in the best manner possible from the infliction of pain, suffering, and torture. I think that could be really cool. Vicky says in the comments of everyone adding to the experience. Yeah, it's kind of cool, eh? And it's a good way, you know, seeing how somebody else uses the equipment also is fun because you might understand something that you missed or you didn't understand well. So I'm on 5800. Let's move up and see what's on the 49 meter band. Something very weak on 5875.
It was not because God didn't love them that they went
5935.
It is because he saw in them something.
5935 is WWCR. That one's strong here.
that had to be refined by the flames of difficulty, the flames of hardship. My friends, Jesus didn't say that he would
Tony
take us out of
says,
this world so that we
greetings
wouldn't
from
have
Ireland,
tribulation.
4625, very strong
He
tonight,
says in
eating
John
S
chapter
plus
17 that
10.
he would leave us in
It's
the
nice
world,
plus 10 here,
but he
and
says,
no
I have
pirate jamming
overcome
it
the
tonight
world,
so
even
far
when we go
anyway.
through tribulation.
The night is
Now,
young.
maybe just now you're going through trials or
Larry
troubles
Marks,
in your
love the
own
way your
life.
keyboard changes
Every
color. Oh,
life
yeah, the on the
experiences
laptop. It's a gaming
Every
laptop,
life
so you know it's got
experiences
extra
sorrow.
features, but
Every one of us sometimes in our life
it's
will
an
go through the
almost
fire.
it's a $2,000
Meshach, and
laptop,
Abednego
so
went
you
through
know
it,
it has a
and they
lot
did
of
not
bells
do
and
it
whistles.
alone. They did
It's
not
what I
go
do.
captive in
I
slavery.
use it
And if today
to
you're
do a
going
lot
through
of
some
stuff, but I
flames,
use it
today
to.
you're going through some
I like gaming
difficulty,
with it. I
and
play
today it
Halo
seems like it's going to consume
Halo
you.
Infinite
Remember,
lately
the flames will
on
only
it,
burn the
and
bonds or the
have a lot of
ropes
fun with
that
that.
tie you to this earth.
It is kind of
Remember
cool. You
to
know,
look through the
this
smoke and the
actually,
flames
this is
and
the
the
second
cinders and
laptop
see
that
the
I
Son
have
of
with
God
a
with
lighted
his armor
keyboard,
around you,
and
embracing
that
you,
is
and whisper
actually made
encouragement in your
me.
ears. And remember, God thinks so much
It's
of you
impossible
that he
for
lets you
me.
go
Do you
through
see
a
the
few
line go
little
through
flames
here on the
today,
screen?
so that when the
That's
major crisis
a
breaks upon the world tomorrow,
that's
when
a
again a powerful world
ionoson.
leader passes
That's
a universal
checking out
decree compelling
propagation.
worship and forcing men and women to serve the enemy rather than God, when that occurs,
It
you will have
spoiled me
already
because
been
now
through
I
the
cannot
flames,
see
and
myself having a
difficulties and
laptop
heartaches to
without
prepare
a
you for
lighted
those
keyboard.
overwhelming events. Just when I need him, Jesus is near. Just when I falter,
Marvin
just when
Motz,
I
nice to have you
fear,
here from
just
China.
when I need him most. Nebuchadnezzar saw that they had something that he didn't have.
So it feels like I'm
Look at
inside your
verse
shack and
28.
want to pet ball the cat.
Then Nebuchadnezzar spake and said, Blessed be the
Charlie
God of
McKee, Kenwood
Shadrach, Meshach,
5000,
and
missed that
Abednego,
receiver.
who has
Stood
sent
well
his
beside
angel
my
and delivered
icon.
his servants that trusted in
Mine
him,
as
and have changed the
actually,
king's word and yielded
it
their
was
bodies,
it
that they
had the
might not
DOS
serve nor
problem,
worship
and
any
it
God
went to
except their
Fastlow that
own
was in the
God.
chat room,
God delivers,
and
friends. God delivers.
he
And in
actually
my
fixed
mind,
it.
I see two men
It's
walking
not
those streets of
100%
heaven,
perfect, but
arm in
it works,
arm.
and you know it's okay.
Daniel and Nebuchadnezzar
And
together.
I think it's gonna be
The
a lot of fun.
evidence from the book of Daniel is that
No, I'm not going
because
to
of
get
the
rid.
witness
I'm
of
already
Shadrach,
sad that I
Meshach,
got
and
rid of
Abednego in
some of
Daniel
the old
3,
radios I
and
had in the
because of the
past,
witness of
and I
Daniel,
will not get rid
all
of
the
the
way from
radios
chapter 1 through
that
chapter
I have
4,
now for
is
sure.
that Nebuchadnezzar will be in the kingdom of heaven
Activity
and
Xer.
experience
No,
full
Far Cry
conversion.
is one of the games
The
I've
greatest
never
testimony to
played.
crisis in your life is when you
I need to
hang
try
on
that.
when the going
Art,
gets
this is a
tough.
great how-to
But
show,
in
Joe.
closing,
Great
I'd
tips
like
and
to say
content for
here,
everyone of
history
all
will be
levels.
repeated. False religion will be exalted. All
So
nations
let's
and
move
tongues
on to
and
the false
peoples,
religion
according to
stuff
Daniel
and go
3 and
to
Revelation 13,
next
will be
signal.
commanded to
So 5950 that I won't stay on very long because there's music is WRMI playing some music. 5960 Voice of Turkey. 5960. This is the Voice of Turkey. And you hear that high-pitched whining. That high-pitched whining is when a transmitter is going bad. So Voice of Turkey English, direct from Turkey, by the way, no relays. 5960 kilohertz. Yeah, Carl Icon, I switched back to AM. Maybe I didn't say it. So yes, absolutely. For the international broadcast band, I switched back to AM. Unless, if I want to tune and see if there's a very weak signal somewhere, I will sometimes go back to SSB, like upper sideband, to see and detect if there's a very small carrier, for example. It's nice to use the upper sideband mode for that. WF7I Ombru, for Voice of Turkey. They're coming in good, direct from Turkey for sure. Matt says seasons are definitely changing. I don't have Voice of Turkey 5960 or Mali in 5995. Yeah, the days are getting longer and it's showing actually. Oh boy, I got a lot of noise now. I have the next door neighbor using his treadmill. Did you see all the lines here? That's the treadmill. So I think that's the end of our tuning. I won't be able to tune anything else for as long as he's doing the treadmill. I'm so sorry, guys. It was a lot of fun, but we're going to do it again. We're going to do it again. I'll post a one or two live shows that we'll just tune this week because this is definitely a lot of fun, and I'm having a lot of fun also. So I'm just going to put this back here like this. So sorry about that, guys. That's out of my control. The lines and the interference. Look at that. You're gonna hear the interference as soon as I change. Look at that. You hear that? That's the neighbor's treadmill. Just like, oh God. I'm lucky that Turkey is in between two of because the spikes are strong and they're every 20 kilohertz or so. So I guess that's the sad way of having the end. What else do we have? Let me just check the chat room here. So this was a lot of fun, and we're going to do more of this in the coming weeks. And we'll do some with no advance notice. I'll just post the link on the group and everywhere, and just like, okay, we're tuning the bands tonight. So look for the next one is going to be like that. Look for the Kenwood R5000 tuning the bands. I'll be putting, of course, like I did tonight. I'll drive the audio of the Kenwood R5000 into the console so you guys can hear what I hear, and we'll tune around together at the same time. So because it's ending a little earlier than I wanted, at least we'll have that this week. We'll have some tuning at random coming up. So I'm sorry for that. I just can't listen anymore with the treadmill going. And the guys usually does it for at least half an hour. So it's like for now, my shortwave. For the next half hour, my shortwave is pretty much zero. Things we got to live through sometimes. What else do we have? So we have Rob, W0RAB in Connecticut. Nice to have you here. David, tuning the bands with the R5000 would be epic. It's a receiver that I also love, and I had such a struggle in having to choose between it and the ICOM ICR 8500. Finally chose the 8500 mainly because of its extra frequency coverage, but the 5000 is definitely and solidly on my wish list alongside the GRC NRD. One of those Japan radio. I would love to have one of those for sure. If anybody wants to donate one of them or send it very cheap. Steven, so Voice of Turkey 5960 coming in better in the winter season. Do you get a better signal day or night from Turkey at the moment? So the thing is it depends on the frequency they're using and the times they're broadcasting. So for example, that's their winter frequency, 5960. And it's meant for the longer nights in between Turkey and here. In the summertime, they moved to 9830 because when they broadcast, there's still a lot of daytime between Turkey and here. So kind of halfway between here and Turkey, there's still daytime, and halfway there's nighttime. And so that means they have to change their frequency, or else 5960 might not work well. And 9830 in the summer is usually a pretty good one too. Here. WF7I Ombrook, knock on the ceiling. Hey, I'm doing a live stream down here. Yeah, it has to be. Well, you won't hear me because he's like not down, but the other like in the basement level, unfortunately. So, man, what else do we have? No, even if I go to battery power, it goes right to the antenna. It doesn't even have. It's not even because of the power or anything inside. It's really my antenna just picks it up. So imagine the amount of noise that thing does. It's pretty crazy, eh? It doesn't have Wi-Fi, but I think it has Bluetooth. Is there a way to send a virus through Bluetooth on that thing? You know, having it spin at such a high speed that he's just going to go through the wall. Here in Montreal, Quebec, it's 6:34 p.m. So we're about to have lunch and spend a nice radio evening in the radio. And by the way, in Australia, happy World Radio Day, because it's World Radio Day tomorrow. So, who knows? Cross your fingers, guys. Maybe tomorrow there'll be a live tuning the bands that could pop up at some point if you guys want to, because it's World Radio Day. Maybe it could be fun to tune the bands on World Radio Day with Ken with our 5000. How about that? I didn't think about that. Well, a little special show tomorrow. We're going to check that out. I don't know what time. It might not be 20 UT. Might be more 21, or I don't know. We'll see. Let me think about that for tomorrow. That could be fun. So, no, there's absolutely nothing that can be done with that treadmill. The antenna gets it. The only way that I could have that interference go away would be to have the antenna, in the fourth neighbor distance. It's crazy. His treadmill is completely nuts. And the only reason I know it's his treadmill is because when it happened one day, I was like, what the hell is that? And I had seen that many times. But one day I went down to get to see if I had mail. And I was hearing him on the treadmill because a guy's running, is doing like jogging. So I could hear him. I was like, oh, he's on a treadmill. And I waited until it ended and went back down to see if I could hear him again. And I didn't hear him on a treadmill. So I was like, huh. And the next time that I saw that, I went back down and listened to close to his door. And I was like, oh, okay. Every time he uses a treadmill, that's what happens. So it's like completely nuts. His treadmill is nuts. I almost want to know what brand it is to make sure nobody buys it. Bobby Burgess, have you ever revisited the K180 WLA again, or do you think now living across the street at an FM radio station will break through that antenna? Look, the K180 WLA is, I've not revisited because here it's useless. The FM breakthrough is crazy. And so the treadmill, I like that, Carl Icon. And what happens is that I know that if you're in a quiet environment with no big gun FM stations around, it probably works well. But I would be scared. I would be scared to buy one if I would live close to a FM station, honestly. So, oh yeah, Dave, there's nothing I can say. I mean, come on. It's like, yeah, okay, you're interfering with my hobby, but what? I'm going to tell him, please don't use your treadmill because I don't hear anything on the radio anymore. And, it lasts anywhere from, it depends. Sometimes it lasts an hour because he's going to use a treadmill. There's going to be a stop. And then his girlfriend's going to use treadmill. So that's an hour total when that happens. Greg, don't like the Ethon. It mutes and overloads with a long wire. Yeah, unfortunately, sometimes these are things that happen. But I had a lot of fun. Mickey Dalmage, I hope the treadmill keeps. I like that. Oh, the treadmill. Let's say that they're both in shape. Definitely. So both the guy and the girl are in shape, and it's definite. Man. Zen Farrow's about a treadmill. You could try and use the QRM eliminator. Oh yeah, that would see if it could actually remove that. Bod 123, clear here. In Iceland, 5960, voice of Turkey. Thanks, guys. I know you liked it. Could you put a choke on the treadmill, or is it too difficult? The problem is not trying that. The problem is like, trying to explain to somebody that the treadmill is making noise and that you could try something and blah blah blah, blah. I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to go to the neighbor and it's like, well, I'm going to have to add stuff to your stuff. I'm going to have it. This is a choke, and I'm going to put it on the power cable, and it's like, you don't want to. It's the kind of thing you don't want to do. Oh man. So what else do we have? Tony has voice of Turkey. JJH, nice to have you here. Dwayne, good night. Take care. Yeah, the problem, Tony, of the QRM eliminator is because I have to power it, and because I dismantled part of my setup right now for reinstalling it somewhere, I need to find a different way to power it. If it would run easily on like a simple little battery, it would be okay, but it requires 12 volts. So the only 12 volts that I've got right now, and the only thing that because I'm trying to find, I have a box of power supplies. I want to maybe dedicate a power supply to it. A power supply that would just be for the QRM eliminator. So because of that, and because of a little bit of difficulty trying to find all the things that I need, that's why I haven't done anything with it yet. It's there. It's looking at me right now saying, please use me. But I need to set up properly to use it. And the videos will be coming once it's all going to be okay. David says, the other day I was reading ceiling vibrator devices gain popularity in China for giving, let's say, a bit of an alert to noisy upper floor neighbors. Yeah, I need to have I don't know. I need to have access to the power. It's like, oops, no more electricity. Moises, nice to have you on board. Well, it's definitely going to be an interesting test for Shortwave and see what could happen with all of that. Moises, for sure, if anything goes bad. So just go down, jump down. Yeah, definitely needs a lot of shielding. So let me just go down here. David says, yeah, you know what? It's because these use really power. I mean, think of a treadmill. It has to work with your weight on it. So imagine how powerful it has to be. And think about, not following any rules. It's like, who cares? We're just going to build it like this and it's going to be fine. Yeah, no, it's not going to be fine. It's going to make tons of interference. And, nobody knows unless you're doing this hobby that we're doing, honestly. So, what else do we have? Go down, go down. So take care, everybody. Barry, yeah, I live a few miles from a 12 kilowatt FM station. Been lucky that it does not cause images on my radios. Kamaxi 76, too bad they can't burn calories in a more constructive way that doesn't affect shortwave listening. Yeah, like doing jogging outdoors. just an idea. How about doing jogging outdoors? Huh? How about that? So take care, everybody. And, I'll be thinking about that maybe tomorrow. We could do another tuning to bands like this, but I'll be using the Kenwood R5000. Been a long time since I tuned around with it and testing it out. So look for that. And if it doesn't happen, it might happen another day this week, but definitely we're going to have something coming up. This is a lot of fun, and it's going to be pretty cool. David says, what I think is that treadmills use square waves to feed a motor and control the speed, and being a treadmill is going to be, yeah, It definitely is something like that with the kind of power they use and how the way they drive the motor for it. Steven says, I have a few digital copies, 1914, 1916's amateur USA magazines back in the radio ham. Yep. I will say one thing here, and I'll share this again. If you guys are looking for old magazines, and even for some radio magazines that are gone now, don't forget that World Radio History .com, worldradiohistory.com, an amazing amount of magazines in there of all times. You have Popcom, you have Monitoring Times, and you got tons of radio magazines going to the 1920s, 30s, 40s. I was looking actually at some from, like we were talking the other day about World War II radio history. I found a lot of magazines from World War II on that World Radio History page, looking at all the broadcasts and all the stuff that could be in there. So it's kind of cool. All is in there. So you have for years of reading and lots of fun reading on worldradiohistory.com for all the magazines and PDF there. Everything's free. Just go and search and look at the index and look at the alphabetical order, all the magazines, TV magazines from the 50s, DXing and I'll set up your TV and stuff. There's tons of things there. So check that out. So, hey, after 3 hours and 45 minutes, I'm going to say goodbye, guys. It was fun, and I hope you enjoyed. We'll be back maybe tomorrow or maybe sooner than you think with tuning around the bands. I hope you enjoy that. And stay safe, and see you soon. And if, of course, you can't make it, see you Wednesday. Wednesday is going to be dedicated to, I think that was a great idea from our friend from near Quebec City. Coming back into the hobby, what to expect and what to do. I think that's going to be a great, great, great show. I'll be taking notes and thinking about it for Wednesday. But I think that's going to be a cool show for Wednesday. And look for a random Let's Tune the Bands maybe tomorrow or very soon. Take care, everybody. Stay safe. Love you all. It's nice to have been here. And we had a lot of fun today. I had a lot of fun also. Bye.